Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Dragon, your story second part of the Go Recovery, Go Recovery, Go Recovery, Go. 10:09 a.m. in the morning, I'm gonna go put this on the brewer so that it doesn't get cold. So now that I did put on the brewer, the coffee machine, so that it stays hot, we're ready to rock and roll. Welcome to the second part of a trinity of series of events this week with Coffee with yours truly Dragon on the dedicated to the relief efforts, the ongoing relief efforts that are happening that way is the east, saluting the Atlantic Canada, love you, kiss you, hug you, Atlantic Canada, maritime provinces, love you, kiss you, hug you, my heart, my mind, and my thoughts, and as with you, and my actions and my philosophies, whether by words or by action, by doing those push-ups, doing those squats, doing those hawks, taking those marching steps. As I'm of course meditating now, as it is 10 a.m. in the morning. It's exactly 10 a.m. in the morning in Hawk Island, Montreal. It is 10 in the morning in Hawk Island, Montreal, and as yours truly is meditating on everything, of course, that is transpiring in the on the east coast, farthest coast of Canada, because of course I am on the east coast, but in the Maritimes, which includes the provinces of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and of course Prince Edward Island, and of course when we say Atlantic, it also includes Newfoundland and Labrador. The post-Fiona recovery, ongoing relief efforts, the post-Fiona storm, ongoing relief and recovery work efforts, the post-Fiona storm, ongoing relief and recovery efforts are ongoing now, and I am imagining, of course, my fellow citizens wearing those steel-toe boots, and Dragan cheering for you, giving you, sending you some love, and some go, some of that cheerleading. Because sometimes our farmers, and yours truly is the people's athlete, the people's artist, the people's advocate, and geopolitical analyst and theorist is of course always cheering and has been for this, especially during COVID, for the farmers, the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the grocery store clerks, the nurses, the doctors, the cooks, all working in railways, construction warehouses. As this philosopher who's not perfect, far from it, has some brain and some muscle, and I'm imagining now and dedicating this second part, which is of course part of the trilogy Coffee with Dragon. And yesterday we of course, after my video, contacted the labor unions, as part of my ongoing Global Dragon Union project for the 21st Century International Workers Alliance, as your truly independent artist, independent athlete, independent activist. And of course this today I'm going to of course meditate, and we're going to discuss specifically the DRT, my DRT theory, the theory known as DRT, standing for debt refusion theory, and of course the UE, what I'm calling for and advocating first and foremost across the collective North American civilization, across the collective North American civilization, across the collective North American civilization, first and foremost, because this Canadian North American was born twice in the USA, and I'm monitoring, of course, now this storm situation in Ian situation, and imagining the scenario as part of my ongoing work called the Dragon Army Initiative, that I'm calling all to support in every way, capacity, shape, or form. As you can see, hundreds of my workout videos when the fires were, and when the, of course, the floods were, of course, in West Coast. That was the West Coast, that was the West Coast, and that was the East Coast. And of course, imagining the scenarios and the places in emergency situation scenarios, and how my initiative called the Dragon Army, officially the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, can be for security and service for the 21st century way, and of course for citizen mobilization and integration in terms of emergency response situations such as Fiona. So my brothers and sisters now in steel toe boots, big dragon hugs, big dragon hugs, those in steel toe boots. There, even Canadian Armed Forces, salute, salute in the Maritimes. Nova Scotians go, New Labradorians go, New Brunswickers go, 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 as the sun is shining today. It's been after a few rainy days. Maybe I got a little of that post-storm. I'm imagining, of course, all the poles and the devastation that was created, and of course the tree logs, the trees that have fallen on the houses, on the cars, on, of course, on the roads, and how many trees maybe we can plant on each three. Multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, CEOs of NHL, NFL, NBA, MLB, mass finance, mass planting of trees, and get the athletes to go with the Dragan Army, with the Three Dragon Zero, and the Dancing Goddess Army, of course, to plant some trees maybe after the recovery. Because my policy is, of course, if for every tree we cut, we should plant one. For every tree we cut, for every tree that we cut, we should try to plant one. And of course, I'm calling on those with the finances, with the economic, commercial means, and of course, money, money, money. Myself, I'm broke, I admit, but my work is gold. I'm $10,000 in debt to the RBC. 10,000, the RBC, $10,000 Canadian to the RBC. I'm paying the most interest that I've paid in this past month due to the interest hikes, and I'm calling them for a stop for the interest hikes, not to continue. And the alternative solution that I'm offering is a DRT, the debt refusion theory, in parallel to creating the UE. So my brothers and sisters, go Nova Scotians, go, go Labradorians, go, go New Brunswickers, go. This is a special cup of coffee, and of course I'm going to say my gratitude, thankfulness. Take a sip. I'm taking a sip of this cup of coffee, good cup of coffee. I'm grateful, thankful that I was able to procure it for $7.97, well, from $10.97, so almost 30% off, $3 off the price. So on special, reduced about 26%, and of course it's a big one. But I did notice what's called maybe shrinkflation, or whatever the term is, that the amount, the quantity went from 925 grams to 900 grams. That same price, that same dark roast, and this label I'm not going to say because I'm not getting a private penny, a private cent, a private dollar, or any commission as of yet, but maybe there's still time. Maybe by 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. tomorrow, somebody's going to commission the world's greatest living dancing millennial poet who's got some brain and some muscle, who's not perfect, got some issues, got some vices, got some lust, but I am for the greater good, and I'm not totally selfless. I don't play that I'm floating on clouds totally for just the other. I am for the greater good, for myself and my willing, loving allies and armies, willing, loving allies, partners, collaborations, and of course, what I got is kisses, hugs, rubs, and some muscles, and brain and muscle, man, brain, some brain and some muscle. I do have, well, I do admit that at certain things I am mediocre, at certain things I am average, at other things I am so-so. While I'm being great, excellent, and super at geopolitical analysis and philosophizing, and of course theorizing with some brain and some muscle as an independent geopolitical analyst and theorist, of which I'm great at, can analyze complex dimensions of trends into geopolitical spheres by taking nation states and countries and great powers and historical events and antecedents, and exploring the military capabilities and the economic and the XYZ factors of culture or geography, and the dimensions of course, my theorizing back in October 2019, when of course yours truly, independent geopolitical analyst and theorist, had sounded the alarm back in 2019. I've said back then, brothers and sisters, we are on a path towards an international conflagration in October 19, after having analyzed the trends and the events, the major events which I've taken into consideration, such as the US-China trade war, the continuing terrorism by the Islamic State terror group, and of course the arrest of Meng Wanzhou, aka Kathy Meng, by the RCMP, and other historical events such as the Pearl Harbor event back in 2019 October, had concluded, after my analysis, had concluded that we are on a path, humanity, we are again on a path towards an international conflagration. And so I've created, made, and designed my workout training program to go hand in hand with such a scenario. My workout, of course, training program, which I'm referring to, is called the General War Integrated Core Body Training System. As a matter of fact, I've conducted yesterday and will conduct one today, don't doubt about it, with a special theorizing and a special philosophizing about how would that, because have been calling and am calling and will call for mass finance by a public-private partnership, and especially the Dragan Army initiative, to people to be mass financed and incentivized across at least Canada, coast to coast, and Dragan Army to be first and foremost binational, just like the NHL is not really the National Hockey League, it's binational. Canada, US, this American, this Canadian who was an American twice in past lives, calling on my Brothers and sisters down south in this late hour. This Canadian who was an American twice in past lives, calling on my American brothers and sisters down south in this late hour. This Canadian North American who was born in the USA twice in the past lives. As a matter of fact, that way in the back of me, where you see the beautiful guys dancing with the sun emblem and the red flag with the LGBTQ rainbow flag. This is a rainbow dragon. And 700 156 years ago, 718 miles south of Hawk Island, of where I am. I served in the U.S. Army. So, speaking also to my brothers and sisters in the USA, of course, I extend my hand east, west, north, south. And of course, to be binational, just like the NHL, NBA, in a sort of way, public-private partnership for security and service, that I'm calling for the initiative to implement my theories at this late hour to be a public and private partnership from public institutions and organizations hand in hand with the existing economic, financial, commercial corporations. And this morning, 10:19, please. Stock market has been open at 9:30. Montreal stock market, Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street. That means that it's been 50 minutes, 49 minutes, 49 minutes, 49 minutes. The stock market has been open. Buy, sell, trade stocks, commodities, frenzy, go. Forex, 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 Wall Street, Wall Street, Black Hawk, Black Hawk, Black Hawk. And of course, Vanguard and all the major ones on the Wall Street. I'm calling on all small businesses, medium businesses, and of course, big businesses, corporations such as the aforementioned, or buying and selling and trading. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be contacting, of course, Black Hawk after during this, depending how much energy I have, and I'm going to say a thank you, love you, kiss you to the workers of Hydro-Quebec, past, present, and future. Past, present, and future. Past, present, and future workers of Hydro-Quebec. I'm going to credit each worker, past, present, and future of Hydro-Quebec, a million kisses each and some hugs. Holla anywhere, anytime. I'm just going to maybe ask if you got some hygiene, because hygiene is important for me. Hygiene, please swim in public, wash your hands with soap and water. But I'm going to say thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you for now yours truly, independent artist, independent philosopher, independent geopolitical analyst and theorist, the people's athlete, independent fitness captain with some brain and some muscle, and artist, and rock and roll on this. I'm doing this meditation and cheering on the Nova Scotia, go Nova Scotia, go Nova Scotia, go Maritimes, go Maritimes, go relief workers, go relief workers, Maritimes, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and of course the Atlantic, which includes Labrador and Newfoundland. That way, kiss you, hug you, see you working hard in steel toe boots, getting those trucks loaded with those debris, clearing the roads, rebuilding poles, cutting those wires with electricity, maybe some danger, putting some muscle and to cut those wires. I'm calling on of course, the Tim Hortons. I'm calling on Tim Hortons to please during today and for the next days to the workers, give them free coffee, free bagels with cheese, free food on sandwiches, whatever the breakfast sandwiches is, whatever it is. And of course, maybe some donuts and some bagels. So thank you, love you, kiss you, workers there in the West. And I'm gonna say an appreciation and meditation that the fact that now I'm utilizing clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy for me to do this video live streaming here on Facebook. Ain't nobody watching, but I'm still gonna work, still gonna do, because my rent is paid for September. And since my rent is paid for September, my rent is paid in full for the month of September. September is coming to an end, the month of September, and I fully paid my electricity bill. My electricity bill and my rent have been fully paid for the month. So I've fulfilled my obligation, duty, and responsibility, although financially struggling with $10,000 in debt to the RBC and having $2,200 that the Quebec government maybe or maybe not. We're gonna see the arrangement, maybe they accept my offer to go for a weekend on the Assemblée nationale. C'est plein pour donner des câlins, puis chanter des chansons, puis donner des bisous, puis donner des poèmes avec la danse. We're gonna say a little bit of alternative proposition for the $2,200 that the government of Quebec is asking me back for. But I got the light above my head. This light, as the coffee machine, as the light, the electricity that I'm using now is all the electricity, the power, the current that I'm utilizing now for me to meditate, to do some art, some philosophy, some art now on this live stream on Facebook, and meditate on matters of nature and civilization, and spirituality, and for the body. It's clean, zero pollution, zero emission. Let's meditate on that a little bit. It's east, west, north, south, or La Belle Province, with how many we are now, close to 9 million in Quebec, close to 9 million now. I think we're more than 7 that I know, more than 7, getting closer to 9 now. 9 million people in this province of Quebec, east, west, north, south. And of course, I do write poetry, sing philosophy in French. I love French language. I love Quebec, la belle province. And of course, I am here as an independent artist, activist, and philosopher. Grateful, thankful for the workers, past, present, and future. I'm going to credit them in the future. Tens of thousands, hundred thousands, maybe even since more than 70 years, 7 decades have been maybe more than millions who have worked in some capacity or others for Hydro-Quebec to build 63 dams. Let's build with brains and muscle, 63 dams with brains and muscle, the technical capability with the brains to bring the electricity and link it, and the discoveries how electricity works and the current works of transmission and utilization, and of course the more sophisticated gadgetry, the kilowatt consumption, the consumption of the kilowatts, so the light above my head to illuminate my face, and the laptop is utilizing clean, renewable, zero emission energy, as my smartphone as well, which I've plugged earlier this morning. My coffee machine is also utilizing zero pollution, zero emission, clean energy, hydro, and we also give to 5, or maybe now even 6, maybe now even six states now to the US that we give. So to meditate and be grateful for all the things we have in nature and civilization. This cup of coffee, I don't know where the origin of this cup of coffee is. This cup of coffee might come from Cuba, might come from Panama, might come from Costa Rica, might come from even Bolivia, might come from Peru, might come from Brazil. Brazil is still the top exporter of coffee, so it's highly likely. It doesn't say on the label, and you do. I'm sorry? Don't know that. It wasn't us. But did see it yesterday that it wasn't picked up, yeah. It's plastic, so in theory it can be recycled. Think we should recycle it, babe. But do know that you put it in order somebody wanted it, right? Yeah, it wasn't picked up. Right. Yeah, yeah. Let's recycle it then. Recycling. Speaking of recycling, that was my anonymous sister. Anonymous sister. If I do make a million, and do make a million, and first and foremost, gonna pay my $10,000 debt and keep on advocating for the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. But if I do make a million, I'm gonna give her half. I'm gonna give her half. Anonymous, and I nominate her as the regent, general, premier, queen of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, queen of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, queen of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, which is my initiative for world peace, for the collective North American civilization, and the Appalachian dancing goddess and Dragon Kingdom, of course, in an abstract, more allegorical, metaphysical way, for the implementation of my trinity of theories known as CIT, DRT, and DRT is the main focus today, the debt refusion theory and the UE, and of course the main focus is relief workers, and relief work and recovery workers in the Maritimes. And I'm gonna wrap up because my sister asked a question here about an event in our daily lives and things that we do. Hydro-Quebec with brains and muscle, brothers and sisters, citizens, built 63 dams across this La Belle Province. East, north, south, west, north, south, east, north, south, east, across La Belle Province. 63 dams. So 63 dams power all the electricity that I'm utilizing, and it's clean, zero pollution, zero pollution, clean, renewable, environmentally as friendly as you can get. Hydropower, Whenever I see the trucks and the Hydro Quebec, I hope I want to let all workers of Hydro-Quebec, even in the past, present, or future, that they can get a hug from me anytime, anywhere, any place. I just, y'all rock, man. I mean, we do everything we do. Even rich in all the neighborhoods, right? All the neighborhoods, whether the multi-millionaire mansions, they also gotta eat because everybody gotta eat because everybody gotta eat. So thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers. I'm gonna be eating this. Got some leftovers. Simple beans, black beans and white beans, black beans and white beans, black beans and white beans with a leftover. My anonymous sister gave me a pita, so I put the pita in and it has some juice, so it kind of mixed and got soft. And I had a little piece of cheese which I broke into like 7 or 11 pieces or something like that, and I put it all over. So I got lunch. I got lunch after this cup of coffee. So I'm grateful for that food, for those farmers who harvested the black beans and the white beans, and I got red beans as well, but I didn't put the red beans. Farmers, y'all rock. Rock and roll, Dragan, love you, kiss you, farmers, truckers, butchers, cooks, construction workers, workers out of Hydro-Quebec, relief workers, y'all rock, relief workers, go, relief workers, go, relief workers, go, relief workers. I'ma sing without a guitar, cheer for you, go, 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 steel toe boots. Looting was salute with those steel-toe boots, loading up the trucks, loading up the trucks, loading up the trucks. From the debris, from Fiona, from Fiona, from Fiona. Nova Scotia, love you. Nova Scotia, love you. Nova Scotia, love you. Nova Scotia, love you. New Brunswick got you. New Brunswick got you. New Brunswick kisses for that Prince Edward Island, Prince Edward Island, Prince Edward Island. Labrador, Newfoundland, the Maritimes, and the Atlantic. Maritimes and the Atlantic. I was, of course, privileged to go. My aunt and my sister, a few years ago, we went coast to coast across Canada and went all the way to Halifax with a train ride from Montreal to Halifax. A 25-hour train ride, the best train ride that I ever, and I want to do it again, and to live stream working out, training, exercising, and poetry for Canada, and of course for my brothers and sisters in the US, because of course my policy for North America pour l'Amérique du Nord, ma politique, c'est on a un océan, on a une frontière, deux océans. C'est bien simple, it's very simple. We have one border, two oceans, my brothers and sisters. That should be our policy in everything that we do as North Americans, because nosotros aquí somos norteamericanos de la Norteamérica, mi hermanos y hermanas. So I speak Spanish, French, and English. I learned Spanish. I learned Spanish, and many years in the libraries and self-taught. I'm pretty good at it. I'm practicing, so I love Spanish. And I was in the past life born in, of course, in Central America and South America and Cuba. So many past lives, many incarnations. Right here from Montreal, yours truly, North American, Quebecer, Canadian, and of course, world peace advocate. And I gotta think global, but I gotta act local. I gotta think global, but I gotta act local. And I believe that the global corporate financialized technocratic system, since that has arisen since 1984, a global corporate technocratic financialized system has arisen since 1984 in North America, the Western world, and beyond. Since 1984, the re-election of Ronald Reagan, the global financialized, corporatized, technocratic system has arisen, and my theories, the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, the DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, the DRT, which we're going to discuss today in depth, DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, and of course the Democratic Fusion Theory, the Trinity of Theories, adding the fourth dimension to that Trinity, love, and love is action, because brains and muscle and action is required. Action has been required in my own healing, is what will rebirth, rebuild, and collective North American civilization, the collective North American civilization, the collective North American civilization, and for that matter, maybe the world will come together with some peace and ensure and secure freedom, liberty, which is not easy, because we got characters. Myself, I admit, I'm not perfect. I got issues, got vices. I'm mediocre at some things, average at others, so-so at others, while being great, excellent, and super at others. My workout is a people's athlete, independent fitness athlete. Check my workout from yesterday and from last week, and hundreds of workouts. You're gonna see, try to challenging the athletes who get multi-millionaires. And although I'm broke, my workouts are gold. My philosophy is diamond, and my art is, of course, precious. And all my love in is gems, and that's what I gotta give. Kisses got, hugs got, some brain and some muscle with that. And go Nova Scotia, go Maritimes, go New Brunswick, go. Dragons cheering for all of you. I'm gonna rap for the recovery in those steel-toed boots. I'm gonna bust a rap. Y'all ready for a rap? Who do I rap for? Yeah, rap for the farmers. Yeah, for the truckers. Yeah, everybody gotta eat. Yeah. Y'all can't eat that paper. Y'all can't eat that paper. I salute the workers. I salute the workers. I salute the workers. I'm gonna steel toe boots. Yep. Steel toe loot. Yep. Fight my own battles. One on one. Ready to loot. Ready to loot. Y'all cowards. Don't even salute. Don't even salute. Y'all got issues and vices. That's their rebirth boot. Rebirth boot. Rebirth boot. So yours too got I do rap a little bit. It's a hobby rap and all. If I rap and rock and roll and rap for the farmers, truckers, butchers, grocery store clerks, cooks, daycare workers, nurses, doctors, Hydro-Quebec workers, Hydro-Quebec workers, Hydro-Quebec workers, and of course for the Hydro-Quebec workers, for the workers in the grocery stores, for the dock workers, the dock workers, the dock workers, the train conductors. Train conductors, imagine those trains, the railways workers, for the mechanics, for the plumbers, for the electricians, for the plumbers, the electricians, plumbers, sanitation workers of the city who pick up the garbage every week. Thank you, love you, kiss you. Those sanitation workers who pick up the garbage every week. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. Sanitation workers who pick up the garbage every week. Thank you, love you, kiss you, workers. And the sanitation workers in recycling. Workers in recycling will pick up the recycling every week. We'll pick up the garbage every week. And here we compost. And we'll pick up the compost every week. Thank you, salute you, love you. And go recovery, go workers, go recovery. It's 10:35 a.m. now. It's more than an hour on the stock market. Wall Street, how that Wall Street goes. Black Hog, what y'all doing? You're doing trade, buy, sell, trade, stocks, commodities, futures, options, buy, sell, short sell, buy, trade, paper, Wall Street, skyscrapers. Please, if you do make a million profit on the stock market today, or have made a million on the stock market yesterday, or will make a million on the stock market tomorrow, Thursday, give 10% of that 1 million to divided by 4 for 4 causes. Food security first, because everybody gotta eat. Rich, poor, everybody gotta eat. Everybody gotta eat. Food is holy, sacred, and divine. Everybody gotta eat. With food prices increasing and shrinkflation. And the other day, of course, Monday, I went and I got myself bags of noodles to have as quote unquote backup food, noodles. I got 3 noodle packs, 3 noodle bags for $1, and it used to be 4 for $1. So it was reduced by 1. But if we do the ratio and the proportion mathematically, because it takes some brains to calculate, of course, the mathematics, it will be the ratio of 1 on 4, because 1 was reduced, right? So it was 1, the 4 for $1, the 1 being the whole unit, and the 4 on 4 in fractions is the unit. So then they reduced it as 3, right, on 4. So it's 1. So basically 25%, right? Because 1/4 is 25%. 1/4 is 25%. As a quarter is 1/4 of $1. So it was 4 before. It was 4 packs for $1, and now it's 3 packs for $1. So it was reduced. It's 1 less now. For every dollar you get 1 less, which is the equivalent of 25%, or 1/4. 25% reduction. That is that we pay more. So now it's no longer 4 packs for $1. It's 3 bags, 4 bags. So that's a considerable reduction. It's not only a few cents. It's 1 out of 4 that our dollar buys less. So if I bought for how many did I buy? I bought 6 of each kind. 6 red, 6 yellow, 6 green. 6 red, 6 yellow, 6 green. About 6 red, 6 yellow, 6 green, right? So I paid for 3. 18 divided by 3, of course, is 6, right? So I paid $6, but that $6 before is to give me 4 for a dollar each. So we got to do 6 times 4, the math, follow? So 6 times 4, meaning 6 times 4 is, if 6 times 2 is 12, and then times 12 is 24, right? So before is to buy 24, because if it's 1 for every 6, then it's 6. So it's 18 plus 6. We could have calculated that way, which is 24, or we could calculate it that way. There's different ways to reach mathematically the equations. Sometimes there's a different way to calculate the amount, whether by percentage or fractions, or vice versa, subtraction or addition. intricacy of math. I'm not a math genius, a math expert, but I know a little bit. I'm good at some percentages, some fractions. I can do okay with simple percentages in math, and to see, of course, to calculate that. So basically, I got six less. So for $6 a few weeks ago, when I bought last time, I think it was 6 or 7 weeks ago, or maybe 8 weeks ago, maybe even 11 weeks ago, maybe during summer or the beginning of summer, June or July, I bought a few. So for that same amount, $6, 3 months ago, let's say 3 months ago, I would have gotten 24 packs. But now I've gotten only 18 packs. Now I got only 18. Now I got only 18 packs. So that is inflation, of course, and the price going up and the prices going up and shrinkflation. So it affects me, it affects the majority, not all. When we say all, it doesn't really affect all. If you're a multi-millionaire or even billionaire, a billion is 1,000 million, does not affect the same way in the same circumstance at the same level, right? That you have to forego certain things such as the basic and the necessities, and that's the problem. Is the necessities is food, and food is fundamental, sacred, and divine. So thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers. And I'm imagining now in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, that way, how many bags of food being loaded on the trucks to give to the citizens, on the trucks, on the cargo, and being shipped in the vans, right? To get the citizens the water, because they need clean water and food. That's why I'm calling on Tim Hortons to give for this few days while the relief recovery works. Let's say for a whole week, or from now until next week, free coffee. You want a cup of coffee, guys? Making profits in the main cup of coffee, and bagel, maybe croissants, especially to the relief workers. Croissants, bagels, and coffee, and what else? Coffee, bagels, burger. I know you make buns and donuts and timbits, whatever it is. That's my call for a corporation, which of course also has made lots of profit due to the infrastructure that is public, such as the railways, the highways, the railways, the railroads, the highways, and of course we got the fisheries. I've learned the fact that the Maritimes, specifically Nova Scotia, is the biggest exporter of lobster in the world. I think de facto also producer most lobster in the world, and of course lots of potatoes in the Maritimes, and the lobster. The Maritimes, specifically Nova Scotia, exports to 90 countries, 90 countries, lobster. And let's say an equivalent, because I'm drinking coffee now to do a meditation, a speculative meditation from, of course, Nova Scotia. If it exports, let's say the whole Maritimes exports to 90 countries, maybe in Latin America, Europe for sure, Africa, the Middle East, maybe Israel, maybe imports lobster also, maybe also in Asia. Gotta check the whole 90 countries, since there's 90 different countries and independent states that import from the Maritimes lobster, and thus Nova Scotia exports. If they import it, Nova Scotia exports to more than 90 countries. 90. Wow, that's like half of the countries of the world, or states of the world almost, or half get lobster from the Maritimes in Canada. That's a tremendous number. And I got a fact check. That's I wrote that from Wikipedia, and I think it's statistically kind of accurate. But imagine how many countries, and in equivalent, because Brazil, let's say, is the top producer and de facto exporter of coffee. I don't know which country this coffee bean comes from, but I do know this, that the black coffee bean was produced, made, and created just like all the fruits, all the vegetables, all the legumes by the dance of the goddess with her brother the sun, that our brothers and sisters farmers harvest for us to make, build, maintain, or upgrade, go to the star civilization, to build, maintain, and upgrade civilization. Hopefully we'll maintain and maintain equilibrium between civilization and nature, and go to the stars, and come together, humanity, and a new accord, break the impasse that we're facing. And we got personal impasses, and we got to admit we're dealing with racism in our hearts, homophobia. As myself, I've been online, homophobia and whatever, we deal with it. And sexual liberation, my own liberation. Years ago, I've been in the open for years now, 7 years in the open, being pansexual, androgynous, pansexual. I am a man and I'm a woman, I'm a man and I'm a woman, I'm a man and I'm a woman, but that doesn't mean I can't do this and I can't do that. And I admit that some things I am not that good at. That's a fact. but I can't do this, I can't do that. I can cook, I can clean, I can wash, I can read, I can recite poetry, I can dance like no other, I can kiss, because kiss has got 718 trillions. I can kiss, because kiss has got 718 trillions. I can massage, I can do work, I can load, I can read, I can paint, I can cook, I can do this, I can do a lot, and learn, and write, and theorize. And of course, it takes action. Action has been required in my own healing, and whether we're dealing with whatever, I admit myself, I have aggression in me. I have aggression, I'm guilty, I have aggression. But I apply the principle harm none and try to do what utilize, and the two key words of my philosophy is sublimating and channeling. Right? That's why, of course, sports, football. I like gridiron, North American football, hut. It's a contact sport. In many ways, we channel the aggression towards a constructive means, right? Myself, when I work out, exercise, right? I channel and sublimate are two key words of my philosophy, social, philosophical, and intellectual, and psychological, and even sexual philosophies. Channeling and sublimating. Because I mean, if we repress certain things, they come out in the dark crooked, they come out in the dark crooked, they come out in the dark crooked. No need to spy on me, RCMP, Royal Canadian Mountain Police. I watched some porn, I watched some adult movies. CSIS, NSA, FBI. Stasi's are gone after 1989 November, and what are the other ones? In FSB, former KGB, FSB, former KGB, FSB, former KGB, MI6. Crowley's the best poet ever. Crowley's the best poet ever. Crowley's the best poet ever. Mossad. Yeah. Don't spy on me. I put a discipline though that I'm only gonna watch during the weekends. And for months now, maybe then a full year now, it's only during the weekends, from Friday at midnight during the Sabbath of the Dancing Goddess. And the rest of the week, I work, and I come out with a new CV. So no need to spy on me. I got issues, got vices, and in a parallel life, I am a scientist, and I build satellites, supercomputers, ICBM rockets, microchips, smartphones in a parallel life. In this one, I created the workout, and I've been connecting with that parallel self in during COVID. More and more I get headaches from the millions of pages of information and technological radio stations and telecommunications and waves and science in my brain, and he gets sore from my workout because I give to my parallel self the workout which I've created, and it says I can't do it within the rules. It's not that easy, but he says I'm getting better at it. I'm building some muscle, I'm building some strength, I'm building some fitness. And I say, well, I'm becoming better. I'm knowing a little bit about coding, and what do you call it? Evil twin, and Wi-Fi, and of course the Stingray, and satellites, and sting me this with some bees. Freedom and liberty is a double-edged sword, right? Freedom and liberty. I have lust, I have vices. I'm not totally selfless. I'm a universal spiritual teaching student. But I'm not floating on clouds above pretending, self-righteous pretense, right? It's not me. Self-righteous pretense. I am androgynous. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a, of course, pansexual meaning I'm homosexual and bisexual. I'm both a homosexual and a bisexual. Androgynous, pansexual, the whole umbrella of the rainbow with some black and white in it. But that aside, that's just one part of me. The rest is the athlete, the people's athlete, the fitness captain, the ones who wants for the greater good while also want to eat some good bacon. I also want to eat some good bacon because prices went up and I can afford it, and I want to afford that wine that I saw a few months ago. I saw a wine from Quebec. La Vin Quebec, La Vin Sit, La Vin de la Belle Province. The wine from Quebec, it was 28 something dollars. I was saying 28 something dollars. The wine from France, paradoxically, the wine from Spain, paradoxically, and the wine from Italy, paradoxically, is 860, 910, and 935. So I said the wine from Quebec, this one that I wanted to try and I cannot afford it. I had to buy the one that's least expensive wine, and I wanted to try that wine. So I want to try that local wine that I couldn't afford because it was 28, so it was three times the price. It was three times the price of the local wine. So yes, I don't want to get afford more bacon, a little bit of cake. I haven't had a good cake in many a full months, but I'm grateful, thankful nonetheless. And of course, I do believe in my theories, their implementation ASAP, for the creation of the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions. So I'm going to say, go Nova Scotians, go Nova Scotians, go Nova Scotians. Go Maritimers, go those Prince Edward Island, rock. and of course the New Brunswick and the Labrador and the Newfoundland, the whole Atlantic. Because Atlantic, when we say Atlantic Canada, that way it includes the whole area of the Atlantic. It includes the whole Labrador, Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and of course Nova Scotia. It's inclusive. When we say Maritimes, it's only the three. It's Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. That's when we say Maritimes. When we say Atlantic, it includes Labrador and Newfoundland, which of course it's close to the Quebec, while the others are more close to the oceans on the islands, right? And we have in Quebec far the province, which is les îles de la Madeleine, les îles de la Madeleine, les îles de la Madeleine, the Magdalene Islands, which are of course islands in the Atlantic that are really far from here. But from here to Halifax, because I'm reminiscing a good memory on Halifax, and I had a great time with my anonymous sister when I went on a trip, and it was took the train Montreal to Halifax, the longest train ride I enlisted in this lifetime, this incarnation, the longest train ride, 25 hours exactly, with some stops here and there. 25 hours, more than a day in a train. So we left in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning. The train left Montreal, and it's a time zone. It's time zones, right? There's 1 hour different because Canada has 4.5 time zones, 4.5 hours. So here it's 10:49, but the West Coast is in the West Coast. It's minus 3 hours all the way to that way. British Columbia, Vancouver. So they're 10:49 here a.m. That means minus 3. It's 7:49 a.m. So they're waking up, snoring West Coast, and the West Coast of Canada and the US, of course, it's minus 3 hours, and on the all the way to the far east, that way the Atlantic Maritimes is an hour and a half all the way to the. So we got 4.5 hours of time zones, extreme coast, east coast, extreme east coast, to the other extreme of the west coast. The whole Canada has 4.5 hours time zones. So that are different, either plus or minus, depending on whether you're on the east coast or on the west coast. So if we go west, we subtract. If we go east, we add, right? If I go that way, I'm gonna add hours. It's gonna be 11, right? 11:50. It's here. It's 10:50 a.m. and I go in Nova Scotia. It's gonna be 11. Let's see Nova Scotia time. Halifax. Halifax time. So it's 11:51 a.m. So 1 hour. I was right. So I was correct. We add, right, an hour. We add an hour. So if we go that way, we subtract. If we go west, we subtract. If we go east, we add the time zones. How it's made up. And of course, the sun rises and the sun sets somewhere in the world. And now we do a meditation that the sun covers coast to coast Canada, all the coast to coast, because it's 10:51 a.m. here. So it also sun is rising over Vancouver, British Columbia, Alberta, of course Seattle, Washington State, San Francisco, California, the Bay Area, Google, also over Facebook is writing slides of shining rays, and seeing Mark Zuckerberg. Seeing my 49ers, seeing the farmers, seeing the railway workers, love you, kiss you, hug you, farmers of the collective North American civilizations, hear you, the farmers, the truckers, the bakers, the butchers, the grocery store clerks, how many trucks now are going east, west, north, south toward the collective North American civilization by the thousands, transporting coffee such as this. I checked the label, so I don't know the origin of the coffee. The coffee could be from Central America, could be from Honduras, could be from Panama, could be from Costa Rica, could be from Cuba, could be from Brazil. Could be coffee from Brazil, of course, because Brazil is the top exporter and importer, just like Nova Scotia is a top exporter in the world to 90 countries of lobster. It exports and de facto produces the most lobster as a region in the world. The Maritimes, and predominantly Nova Scotia. Right, so in parallel, to contrast, the lobster that's being exported annually to 90 countries. I don't know if Brazil exports to 90 countries coffee. Maybe not, since there's other countries who produce coffee, even in Africa, Ethiopia, Uganda, of course, and Ivory Coast, and of course in Asia. Vietnam has risen over the decade to become the second largest exporter of coffee It's the country of Vietnam, country of Vietnam, who, say, another paradox, has been able to maintain and has maintained its one-party socialist, Marxist, communist system. That's a whole discussion in itself. If you want an in-depth, profound lecture and discussion just on the socialist, Marxist, communist ideology and philosophy, social political philosophy, and analyzing it, I could do that a cup of coffee for a good deal, just to dedicate on that specific movement of the 20th century, such as, of course, in parallel and in contrast to fascism. And of course, I'm going to say that the major difference is, of course, that fascism was more nationalist, more ethnocentric, while in its origins, Karl Marx, socialism, communism, Marxism was never about a nation state or just a national. It was from its origins. It was supposed to be global, international, and universal. So that's my major aspect of differentiating it. I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist that believes in my theories for the 21st century. And while I say that I have XYZ, some brain and some muscle, as now brains and muscle is required for those loading the trucks, clearing the roads from the trees that have fallen, from the poles that have fallen, from the electricity that has fallen, cutting those wires, cutting those wires with big pliers or big cutters that cut the metal, cut the steel, cut the aluminum. You're going east, west, north, south to the cities from Halifax to St. John to Charlton, the way to New Brunswick, covering the Maritimes, and of course the Atlantic. Salute, 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 go, go, go. Yours truly, Dragan Zero, independent athlete, a people's athlete with some brain and some muscle. Philosophy is cheering you on, and I am thinking and meditating all this week. I'm going to do the meditation on the relief efforts ongoing as I call for Tim Hortons to sponsor and give them a free cup of coffee, and with that, maybe a Danish, a bagel with cheese, a croissant, cheese croissant, and a donut, and some sweet from the Timbits. So back to the lobster of Nova Scotia, that it exports lobster. And Halifax is, of course, the capital and largest municipality of the Canadian province of Nova Scotia, and the largest municipality in Atlantic Canada, right? And I've been there, my anonymous sister, a few years ago. And of course, Nova Scotia and part of Halifax port and the surrounding ports of Nova Scotia and the fisheries of Nova Scotia surrounding around about Nova Scotia and Halifax and the whole Maritimes, Prince Edward Island, and of course Newfoundland, fishing, all that lobster that gets sent to 90 countries. I wonder to how many countries does Brazil export coffee, if it comes close to the number of lobster produced. And now we can check top producing lobster, I haven't had lobster, I think, since I went in Halifax. Regions. Since I went in Halifax, because it was affordable there. I'm saying, wow, like this is for lobster, yeah. Maine and Massachusetts, which is close, of course. Maine is Massachusetts. Lobster. To how many countries? It says 90 countries. Lobster. Maritimes. The lobster in the Maritimes. The Bay of Fundy. The Maritimes region inshore lobster fishery occurs in the Bay of Fundy and along the Atlantic coast of Nova Scotia to the tip Cape Nord, broken down by lobster fishing areas. So the lobster, which I had when I was in Halifax. That's when, of course, and they have integrated fisheries there in the maritime region, and the top exports to 90 countries. So I remember when I went to Halifax, it took a 25-hour train ride. I was left in the morning with my anonymous sister. It was 7 a.m. in the morning, Montreal local time, because of course we got time zones. That's 1 hour ahead in Halifax. It was a 25-hour train ride. It was a 25-hour train ride, and we went on the train, And of course, we reached Halifax the next day at 25 hours later, and with the time zone over there. I think the last time that I had lobster was when I was in Halifax. So that was a few years ago. So it was the best train trip, longest train trip ever. But because from Montreal to Halifax is about, depending the routes, by train or by car or by, of course, there's three possible main routes. Crossing it from Maine in the U.S. We need to cross from Maine from the U.S. or going from a little bit above and going or more straight. So there's like three ways going, three like this type of, if you check on the internet and how. So it's about, one is 1160 kilometers, the other is 1250 kilometers, and the other one is like 1300 kilometers. So they vary by about, ranges about 100 kilometers more or less depending on the route. But the shortest route would be through Maine to reach Halifax, and Nova Scotia to reach Nova Scotia, and I guess the Maritimes for that matter, the Maritimes, the shortest route is through Maine. But to go to Halifax, I checked, and it's passing through the U.S. with a car passing through Maine, the state of Maine. That, of course, does Maine get electricity from us? Hydro-Quebec from Maine? Maybe not. Hydro-Quebec, holla, let me know. And of course, it's clean, zero pollution, zero emission, environmentally friendly. They should. So passing all the way through Maine, it gets 1100 and about 60 kilometers, 1160 kilometers to get there. So I'm imagining them now in Halifax, the Bay of Fundy, and the Canadian Armed Forces, love you, kiss you, hug you, and the workers' relief efforts gotta wear those steel toe boots and those gloves, putting on, loading up the trucks, and of course clearing the roads with a saw. Saw those trees, how many? 100, 1,000, 958, 777, 418, 718, 333, 156. How many trees have fallen total? Maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe even close to 100,000. Can we plant one for each? Multi-millionaire Canadians and multi-billionaire Canadians. It's gonna take brains and muscle, right? It's gonna take brains and muscle. And my call is, of course, as I'm ongoing meditation and dedication of this ongoing second part two of this ongoing coffee with Dragan. That'll go recovery go. I'm gonna say go recovery go, and later I'm gonna work out, train, exercise, do some push-ups, do some squats, train the body, do some push-ups, squats, and hogs, and of course marching steps for part of my ongoing recovery. This morning is going to be more brain meditating on the intellectual, philosophical, and more academic and social nature, while later is going to be the more physical. In the morning, the brain, and the afternoon, late afternoon, early morning, 10 it's 11:01 a.m. in the morning now. Not that early morning anymore, but was the brain and the philosophy and the heart, and later is going to be the muscle, doing push-ups, hawk squats for y'all out there in the go recovery go as part of my ongoing protocol and proposition for, of course, the creation of the Dragon Army. And now that we're getting at the DRT, we're going to discuss the DRT. I'm just going to say a meditation again, and let's see, go relief workers go, calling on Tim Hortons to give them free coffee for the duration there, and the two armed forces to a bagel, maybe a croissant with cheese, or maybe a donut, a Danish, or whatever it is, or one of each. You have three choices: coffee plus something to eat plus something for sweet. On principle, three: coffee, something to eat, and something for the sweet tooth. Whatever of their choices, whether 10 Timbits or Timbits, or two donuts or a donut and a croissant with cheese, or a bagel with cheese, or even those sandwiches, because of course Tim Hortons, y'all got the sandwiches with BLTs, which also the drink, the eating, the meal, and the sandwich, and the sweet tooth, some donuts or donuts, or whatever. That's my call to Tim Hortons as a public for the private corporation, private corporation, and of course my theories are for the private and public partnerships. My theories, of course, are for private and public partnerships. My theories are public and private partnerships. My theories are for public and private partnerships. And of course, now my heart is today and this week I'm going for the go recovery go. As I know about recovery, I know about recovery, and of course recovery, for my own recovery and healing, has taken action and is taking action, and I've been in depression, I've been suicidal, I've conquered depression, I've conquered depression, I've conquered depression, I've been suicidal, I've been suicidal, I've been suicidal, I've conquered depression and I've been suicidal. And right here, right now, in this 11:03 a.m. in the morning, yours truly, Adrian Hanna, Dragan fights his own battles. If y'all wanna freestyle battle rap, I'm gonna rap for the farmers, clack clack, steel toe boots, workers, construction workers, load them up. Those trucks, warehouse workers, dog workers, Hydro Quebec workers, yep, load them up with the farms, love you, truckers, butchers, bakers, cooks, daycare workers, nurses, doctors, rap. And of course, we can freestyle battle rap, or we can dance the world's greatest dancer if you want to dance battle me, or we can put on gloves. But first I'm gonna still box Donald Trump. First I'm gonna still box Donald Trump. First I'm gonna still box Donald Trump, because I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match for some years now on the Canadian-US border. And a rink made of Canadian and American and USA, North American aluminum and steel, North American aluminum and steel, joint North American aluminum and steel on the Canadian-US border because of those tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel back a few years ago with Donald Trump. Nothing personal, but I'm a universal revolutionary centrist. I have my theories, creative ideas, creative propositions for action. Of course, whether regarding to being pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist, or how to channel and sublimate aggression, my own aggression, and I sublimate it, I channel it by working out, training, exercising, which has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice. Sublimating is be my medicine and therapy of choice. My medicine and therapy of choice is, of course, sublimating the aggression, and with some joy in it, in my own healing and transformation while I work out, train, exercise, working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice, and some joy and some mode of worship at the temple of the dragon with yours truly, with push-ups, hogs, squats, and marching steps, and push-ups and hogs and squats. And yours truly, it is 11:05 a.m. in the morning. Please, now the stock market has been open for 93 minutes. Please give 10% if you make a million on the stock market, buying, selling, trade stocks, commodities, futures, options, stocks, inputs. If you make 10%, if you make a million, that is profit. Please give 10% for food security, women's sports leagues, LGBTQ youth services, and environmental causes, protection services such as planting trees, because 10% of a million is 100,000, and divided by 4 for 4 causes, whether women's sports leagues, food security first, because everybody gotta eat, for LGBTQ youth services, and of course to environmental issues, to plant trees. That's 100,000 divided by 4, that's 25,000, that is 25,000. 100,000 divided by 4 is 25,000, and 100,000 is 10% of 1 million. So please, if you make a million on the stock market today, or if you made a million on the stock market yesterday, or if you're gonna make a million on the stock market tomorrow, please give 10% for that food security, women's sports league, LGBTQ youth sports, and of course for environmental causes. Yours truly, Adrian Dragan, people's athlete, philosopher, independent student, scholar of history, wars, geopolitics, civilization, cheering, applauding, lauding, say go, recovery, go. Recovery in the Maritimes, recovery in the Atlantic, for the Newfoundland, Labrador, for Nova Scotia, Halifax, the Bay of Fundy, St. John's, Prince Edward Island, and of course New Brunswick, go. Yours truly here, this room of Sun Temple, which is my room of Sun Temple on the ground. I admit that I do want to get something bigger, so I can work out more powerfully, train, exercise, and of course dance. Something more space for my dancing. It requires a bigger arena, venue, and coliseum, and I'm asking on the patriarchal posing. I'm going to say patriarchal, but it needs some brains and some muscle, and it needs the energies and the forces that are complementary to each and every one of us. Myself, at some things I am average, at some things I'm mediocre, and other things I'm so-so, while being great, super, and excellent at geopolitical analysis and philosophy and theorizing, and of course at art, at education, and different, of course, the workout system that I've created is gold, and it is increases general overall fitness, and it is, of course, what I'm advocating for the mass financing thereof, for people to work out, to train, and to exercise. And of course my workout training program is gold, is excellent, simple, effective, and efficient. It requires no equipment. It is called officially the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragan Army workout. And of course, this is simple, effective, and efficient, and it requires no equipment. And it increases general overall fitness. It increases general overall fitness. It increases general overall fitness. It is simple, effective, and efficient. It requires no equipment, and I've done more than 290 sessions. I am excited. I've then successfully completed the 298th session yesterday, so my initial goal was to get to 300, and now dedicating them to the ongoing relief efforts. Of course, dedicating them to the ongoing relief efforts. I'm dedicating all the workouts to the ongoing recovery and relief efforts, and of course, done completed 298 as I'm turning that A of my surname into an O, as I'm turning that A of my surname into an O, as I'm turning that A of my surname into an O. Dragon becoming dragon, dragon becoming dragon, dragon becoming dragon. It's 11:08 a.m. in the morning. I'm out of the dragon armies. Nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. With a surname dragon took blood, sweat, and tears, and tens of thousands of push-ups, tens of thousands of squats, tens of thousands of hawks, millions of marching steps. We're barefoot in this room Austin Temple, which has also been serving as a gymnasium for the past years, especially during COVID and in with running shoes, or most likely 90, more than 93% in steel toe boots across this hot island Montreal. Adrian H. Dragan died during COVID, being reborn. Adrian Hannah Dragan, the Australian androgynous pansexual founder of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, calling all willing and loving to support the implementation of my trinity of theories: the CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, death fusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory. That trinity of theories to be implemented with the fourth dimension, LOVE. That trinity of theories to be implemented with the fourth dimension, LOVE. That trinity of theories to be implemented with the fourth dimension, LOVE, and love is action. If it's just blah blah blah, and I've struggled, disillusioned with organizations, proposals, knocking on doors, closed doors, XYZ, lacking XYZ, bureaucratic, writing fancy bureaucratic red tape on XYZ, and I've been depressed and suicidal, but I've conquered depression and no longer suicidal. I want to love. I want to love, and be loved, and keep on loving in action, working out, training, and exercising, and philosophies, and kisses God, and I want to hug, and I want to be hugged, and I want to love harder, and please today, for the dragon, for Adrian Hannah Dragon, for a hug like you never hugged before, hug hard, for good, hug for minutes, and kiss like you never kissed before, like it was your last day, hug like you never hugged before, work out like you never worked out before. Hug for the body. This body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. This body, that's my philosophy. This body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. This body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. It's 11:11 a.m. Please, if you do make a million profit on the stock market, I have been making a million. Yesterday, made a million on the stock market. Buy, sell, trade stocks, commodities. Or tomorrow, if you will make a million on the stock market, please give 10% for food security. And of course, that 10% of that million is 100,000 divided by 4 for food security, women's sports leagues, and of course LGBTQ youth sports, and of course for environmental causes to plant some trees with that 25,000, which is divided by a quarter. 25% of 100,000 divided by 4. If you make a million on the profit on the stock market today. I'm gonna get a refill of the coffee, and we're gonna go back. Gonna come back, discuss the DRT fully in more full disclosure for the death refusion theory, which of course yours truly is advocating. But before we do, I do want to of course say again, of course, the thank you, grateful, thankful that my rent is paid in full for this September, on September the 28th. My rent is paid in full, and I have food to keep on working, exercising. Gonna go knocking on some doors in the modern way by writing some emails. Gonna go knocking on some doors in the modern way by writing some emails. Gonna go knocking on the door by writing some emails in the modern way, knocking on some doors to seek partnership, cooperation, collaboration in everything that I do as an independent philosopher, independent artist, independent athlete, independent artist, independent activist, and of course AAA plus other dimensions, AAA plus other dimensions, AAA plus other dimensions, artist, activist, and athlete. AAA plus other dimensions like philosopher, geopolitical analyst, and theorist, and of course the world's greatest living dancing millennial rainbow poet, who's not perfect. Got some issues, vices. At some things I am so-so, but other things I am mediocre, other things I am average. We got some brain and some muscle, and while admitting that I have aggression and channel the aggression, and I encourage everybody to work out, train, exercise, encourage all, please hygiene in public, increasing hygiene in public, brothers and sisters. We got germs, bacteria, microbes. We got microbes, bacteria, and germs. We got microbes and these germs and these bacteria. So wash your hands with soap and water and a hand sanitizer. I'm open carrying my hand sanitizer and disinfectant. When you go in a bank, when you go in a store, in a grocery store, in a school, wash your hands and disinfect and hand sanitizer. When you go in a mall, or area that you go that is not your private domain. Right here, I'm in my underground room, office, and temple, cheering for the recovery workers. Go recovery workers in Atlantic, go recovery workers in Nova Scotia, go recovery workers in Halifax, go recovery workers in Prince Edward Island, loading those trucks. I see you, Canadian Armed Forces, see you, volunteers, see you, citizens. Love you, kiss you, hug you, those loading the trucks, with the tree trunks, with the trees, with the logs, with the debris, clearing the roads, clearing the pathways for the railroads, on the railroads, the poles and the trees that have fallen on the houses, on the cars, or on the sidewalks. I see you, cheer you, love you, kiss you, hug you, love you, kiss you, hug you, and cheering and clapping for the recovery work ongoing in the Atlantic, and of course in the Maritimes, which is that way, and of course Dragan Zero, yours truly, calling all to the formation and the creation and institutionalization of the Dragan Army, public-private partnership and binational, first and foremost, across the collective North American civilization is what I'm calling for. And we're gonna get some more coffee refill, and we're gonna discuss the DRT and the UE, and of course, gonna afterwards, whether we go live or not, I'm gonna knock on some doors. I'm gonna be writing some doors. Be back. 11:15 a.m. in the morning. You're still independent artist, independent activist, geopolitical analyst, and theorist, cheering on the recovery work. Go recovery workers, go recovery workers, go recovery workers. Love you, kiss you, hug you. All involved in the recovery efforts going on, the Canadian military, armed forces, volunteers, civilians, or those deployed hydro. Since I like to offer more than blah blah blah, I like to offer more than blah blah. I like to offer more than blah blah blah. I'm gonna of course offer some lifetime hugs, free lifetime hugs, and some kisses. Kisses got plenty, so kisses can make all my willing, loving kiss millionaires. Kisses got some hugs, some brain and some muscle with that, and some theories, which I believe firmly in the implementation of my trinity of theories, known as the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory, DFT, Democratic Fusion Theory. And that trinity of theories to be implemented with LOV, because love is action. And if I want to keep on living for today, I hope that somebody's gonna make LOV today, this afternoon or tonight. Make love is consent and hygiene, and mutual understanding and love. Make love tonight with consent, mutual understanding and love. Make love tonight in consent, mutual understanding, love and hygiene. If not, what are we fighting to save the collective North American civilization for? What are we fighting to save the collective North American civilization for? If not, somebody's not making LOV tonight, today, or tomorrow. What are we fighting to save the civilization for? The stock market, buy, sell, trade stocks. That's what we're fighting to save civilization for. Stock market, buy, sell, trade stocks. Like multi-millionaire athletes, CEOs of the sports leagues, multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires for the Wall Street. Is somebody's not making love today. Not hug like you never hugged before, kiss like you never kissed before. What are we fighting for? For multi-millionaires, oligarchs, Wall Street, Wall Street. Multi-millionaire rappers, y'all living in gated communities, man. Multi-millionaire rappers, y'all living in gated communities, man. Multi-millionaire rappers, y'all living in gated communities. Y'all living in gated communities. Why you so selfish? Why you so selfish? Why you so selfish? And I'm not totally selfless. I'm not totally selfless. I'm not totally selfless. But I am for the greater good. I want to love first and foremost. I want to love. Hygiene, get royal clean and laughing. I admit I do want to afford to get that wine that I never tried before, that good bottle of wine and some cognac whiskey. I'm not a big drinker, very rarely on occasion. More refined pleasure drinker. with a meal, and I admit I don't want to afford more piece of bacon, but with all the lust and the issues that do got, I ain't no fucking way that if I would have had millions in the bank account, ain't no fucking way that I would have been that fucking selfish to not give to for food security, for children's toys, bags of gifts during the holidays, economic system to finance them some joys, because I love the children. I'm writing children's books, and aspiring writer of children's book, writing children's books, writing children's books. Right? It's a pleasure, and I'm looking for volunteer supporters, blah 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 blah, literary agents, and your still independent artists, athlete, activists, go recovery workers. Love you, Nova Scotians. Love you, New Brunswick. Love you, Prince Edward Island. Love you, Labradorians, Newfoundlanders, and love is action. And I'm dedicating these three parts with the action of the brain, of the mind, of the philosophy, and let's do a philosophical meditation, right? About the storm that passed, the Fiona. And supposedly, is it officially? It's one of the strongest that has hit Atlantic Canada or the Maritimes. One of the strongest, but maybe not officially the most powerful. It's still being assessed whether it is the most powerful storm to have hit Atlantic Canada and the Maritimes. Fiona. And with Ian on the way, I'm meditating how many trees have fallen, and if we can plant a tree for every tree that has fallen. Is that possible? Is that feasible? Most likely a yes. I want to hear more yeses. I want to hear more yeses. And then in the recovery efforts, can we do better with this? I can do better. I can best believe I'm gonna clean my room off some temple after I finish this workout, because I got cleaning, purifying, reordering my own room off and temple to do with my own self. That's why I work out, train, exercise. I knock on doors. I've knocked on doors, proposed institutions, organizations. I've had periods of stagnation, frustrations. I've had them, depression. I've been there, suicidal. I've been there, lonely, down and out, rock bottom. Action is required in my own healing. Has been action required in my own healing, and action will be required in my own healing. Right? Sexual liberation for myself has not been without blood, sweat, and tears to come out and say, yes, I'm LGBTQ, I'm LGBTQ, I'm LGBTQ. Have lost economic, financial, commercial opportunity due to being LGBTQ myself. Continuance of employment and continuance of economic, financial, commercial benefits, yes, for sure. My social media policies show love or move along. I take pride that I've never blocked anybody yet, although I'm dealing with a lot of schemers, scammers, scheming scammers, scamming schemers, and people claims, XYZ from high school. I know my brother or sister. I don't remember early childhood. I don't remember early adulthood. I don't remember adolescence. I remember more than 7, 8, 9, 10 years and reading and making the libraries of the city of Hawk Island my second home, as the people became the people's doctors, became the people's doctor, becoming the people's doctor. 7 years, say, with one foot in the streets, the other in the libraries, reading tens of thousands of books on philosophy, art, geopolitics, science, all subjects, and also writing, whether by hand or by typing in USB key, tens of thousands of pages of philosophy, poetry, art, philosophy, and of course, from those writings, I'm giving in oral form, communication and dialogue, live stream, or posted on my YouTube. My, of course, theories known as the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, Debt Refusion Theory, the DRT, and of course the Democratic Fusion Theory, the DFT, Democratic Fusion Theory, DFT, Democratic Fusion Theory, CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, or of course the Democratic Fusion Theory, the DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, which of course we're going to discuss more in depth. More in depth in the coming minutes. So, yes. We want to live, and I hope that somebody's going to make love tonight. Somebody's going to make good loving hug like you never hugged before. With that meal, meditate on the farmers, and I'm grateful, thankful that my rent is paid in full here. My electricity bill is paid in full. I fully pay my rent and electricity bill. This light above my head is clean, renewable, zero pollution energy. This coffee machine, coffee maker that I'm heating the coffee that I made the coffee with this morning is also has utilized and using clean, zero pollution energy. As I'm using this live stream with the energy that I've plugged in, the electricity, it's clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy that is utilized, and of course across this province, La Belle Province, east, west, north, south, and all the public and the private now offices, of course, being people doing laundry and people doing what they're doing with clean, zero pollution energy. So thank you, love you, kiss you, past, present, and future workers of Hydro Quebec. I fulfilled my duty and obligation, responsibility to pay my rent in full, fully pay my rent and electricity bill, and I am open for business. I am open for business. I am open for business. This week is specifically the philosophical, artistic, and meditative, and intellectual, academic, and social, philosophical, and athletic, because I'm going to dedicate my workouts, training systems, and of course, yesterday I did the first one. Today I'm going to do the second, tomorrow the third, and then I'll reach 300 and 300 and 300, turning that A into a no. And of course, as have, am and will advocate for the implementation of my trinity of theories. So urge and encourage everybody to work out, train, exercise, and please increase in hygiene in public. Wash your hands with soap and water, or hand sanitizer, hand sanitizer, hand sanitizer. Because when we step outside, we're added dimension to be in the public. Added dimension to be in the public. We are also public citizens. We have certain responsibilities, a dimension of responsibilities, duties, and obligations when we step outside in the public, plus counterbalanced by liberties and freedoms. I can dance in the streets. Please do dance, hug, kiss in the streets with consent and hygiene, mutual understanding. Dancing God is Dragan Kingdom. Good hugs, man. Hugs, kiss, make love, make love, make love. Hug like you never hugged before today. Dance like you never danced. Work out like you never work out. Read like you never read. Do, or be, meditate. L-O-V. 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 Love is action. Comes in multi-forms. But we have the hygiene, public hygiene. Please increase in public hygiene. Please increase in public hygiene. Please increase in public hygiene. I get dirty when I get back clean. I get dirty, but I get back clean. I get dirty, but I get back clean. And who's getting dirty now more than us? It's the workers, relief workers, recovery workers, the troops deployed, Dawei, the Maritimes, East Coast, Atlantic, in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, of course Newfoundland and Labrador. Yours truly, Dragan Zeros with you. In heart, I'm meditating how many trees I've been, since I've started this video, how many trees have been removed from the streets. Maybe 50, maybe 70, maybe 156, maybe 93, maybe 333, maybe more. This is more than an hour. How much brains and muscle in those steel toe boots, the poles and the cutting of the electricity for the danger of electrocution, right? And loading the trucks, and the brains also has to be used, because where do the tree logs to go best in order to be environmentally friendly, so that it doesn't encroach on habitats. So we got to think of the flora and the fauna while we rebuild or maintain, hopefully upgrade civilization, right? So all those that have worked, and of course that are doing now, putting in the labor, I see you. Go, load those trucks with the tree logs, load those trucks with the tree logs. Put them in the tree logs. We gotta get to clear the roads. We gotta clear the roads, clear the houses, clear the sidewalks. Of course, if we are to have security perimeters, we have to set up attention and warn the citizens, and of course part of the ongoing Dragan Army for security service and emergency scenarios and emergency reconstruction rebuilding. That's my call to all. Go recovery workers. So if we see with those drones, of course we gotta prioritize. They gotta prioritize. Use some brain and muscle. Prioritize for the houses, and of course the people first. The citizens, the people first. As the citizens gotta come first in such emergency situation scenarios, right? Because the body is the temple. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. Because at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, the cars are metal on wheels and takes from A to B. Sure, we have fancier than others, more sophisticated. I'm only on public transit in my steel toe boots, but at the end of the day, they're metal on wheels. They're metal on wheels, right? That's what they are at the end of the day. And it's 11:27 a.m. here in the morning. Who made $1 million on the stock market today? You still have a lot of time. What am I gonna do while the stock market goes buy, sell, trade stocks? I'm gonna write some poetry, I'm gonna write some philosophy, and I'm gonna knock on some doors today, and later we're gonna work out, train, exercise. Knock on some doors today. Specifically, we're gonna contact economic, financial, commercial institutions today to discuss the DRT, debt refusion theory, and the UE. And of course, as I've contacted labor unions yesterday, as I'm a pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist, and sometimes few calls back, few answers, XYZ, but I still keep on knocking because my rent's paid. got food, got coffee. I can do, I can meditate. Now the meditation and the intellectual academic work is focused on emergency scenarios, on the streets that need to be cleared and the houses that need to be, or for the cars, from the cars, the trees that fell on the cars, or the poles, electricity poles that fell on the cars or on the houses, they need to be cleared, right? They need to be used brains and muscle with gloves. You have to protect the hands with steel toe boots and other protection gear. And they're loading in the trucks or they're cutting with the saws. Big trees, right? It's hard physical labor, hard physical labor, hard physical labor. Right, they're doing it, they're doing it. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. Three big dragon hugs, big dragon hugs, big dragon hugs. You credit lifetime hugs to my allies and armies and the relief workers, recovery workers, since I like to offer more than blah blah blah, because blah blah does only halfway. Philosophies and intellectual and academic, it goes halfway. My own healing has required action, action, action to do, to work out, to train, exercise, to acknowledge parts of my nature and admit parts of my nature which sometimes are not that pretty, ain't that pretty, right? You know, rock and roll with it. Of course, to admit we have certain lack of expertise, lack of skills, lack of XYZ, right? You know, farming, man, farmer. Well, that is full. I got farm privilege. I got farm privilege. Thank you, love you, because you're farmers. You ever farm? You ever farm? You ever farm? I can claim, yes, I urban farmed a few years. I urban farmed a few years, but it was a small lot, small plot, small area. So I do have some experience farming, but urban farming at the micro level, small plots. But I did harvest, plow, and I ate from the fruits of my labor. But the collective North American civilization, farming, the integration of the beans that are being grown, all the wheat, all the fruits, the vegetables, the legumes, and all the grain, initially are made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother the sun, but are harvested by my brothers and sisters, farmers who harvest them, and the butchers and the bakers and all cattle farmers, dairy farmers, wheat farmers, lobster farmers in Nova Scotia, black beans, white beans, red beans, kidney beans, wheat, grains to make bread, and of course, such as this. Okay? This was made from the wheat. These crackers, right? To eat. Everybody got to eat. Food more expensive. Noodles. We got food security, food insecurity. That's why if you make a million on the stock market today, first and foremost, give to food. Because even Wall Street, even y'all gotta eat. What y'all eating for dinner? What y'all having for breakfast? Don't have breakfast. I'm gonna have just black coffee for breakfast for me. It's just gonna be black coffee for breakfast. It's just gonna be black coffee for breakfast for me. But I got leftover food. So this food is gonna energize my body. This leftover food, black beans, white beans, and put a little bit of, I had a tiny piece of cheese left. And of course, it has, so now my sister gave me a pita, and that pita I've transformed it, cut it to pieces, and I've mixed it in with the juice, so it kind of got soft. So it's edible. I'm gonna eat it. That's what I'm gonna eat for lunch after this video. And have a lunch between 12 and 1 or after 1, whatever that time will be. It will energize me to do some more, to clean my, I haven't cleaned yesterday my floors. I gotta do it, at least try to do it every day. So because I got the socks I'm auctioning, by the way, the black socks, I'm auctioning them, and this black hoodie, and this coffee, and the jeans, the black socks, and the black hoodie, and this coffee mug, black hair locks as well, my, also my red hoodie, my red, and the other reds, I'm also auctioning them. My clothes that I'm wearing for working out, training, exercise, and to do this video, I'm auctioning this cup, make an offer, I'm auctioning this cup. PayPal North America, shipping only. Auctioning them. So Nova Scotians, love you, kiss you, hug you. New Brunswick, love you, kiss you, hug you. Labrador, love you, kiss you, hug you. Prince Edward Island, love you, kiss you, hug you. The Maritimes, love you, kiss you, hug you. The Maritimes, love you, kiss you, hug you. The Maritimes, love you, kiss you, hug you. The Atlantic provinces, love you, kiss you, hug you. All the workers in recovery. maybe hundreds of trees now, thousands of trees will be removed from all the streets of which they've fallen, from the sidewalks, pedestrian sidewalks, blocking maybe the railways, the trains. I love the youth. I love the youth. I like to hear them happy and cheering, and so I like the youth. I like to hear them happy and having fun, tripping a little bit, tripping. Y'all trip a bit. So recovery workers now on the ground in the Maritimes, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, Labrador, in the Atlantic, clearing the roads, the debris, making more safer, clearing the roads, clearing the not just for the cars, of course, the highways, the roads, the pedestrian sidewalks, maybe on the train tracks, poles fell, trees fell, there's debris. Gotta load up trucks. They gotta re-put wire to reconnect the electricity because it's power. So all the brain and the muscle, and some brain, those who know a little bit more than others, and those who assist with the muscle to clear the way. Because it takes brains and muscle, it takes brain. It has taken brains and muscle to build civilization, and it will require some brain and muscle to maintain civilization at least, or hopefully upgrade. I believe my trinity of theories will help at least maintain and hopefully upgrade in partnership with public and private institutions and organizations to implement the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, DRT, Debt Fusion Theory, and the Democratic Fusion Theory. The DRT, what is the DRT? Because I'm gonna get to it, as I'm gonna say, go recovery work, take those trees, clear those roads, clear the sidewalks, clear the train tracks, train tracks, load those trucks, load, go. Dragon's cheering for you, And the DRT, the debt refusion theory, is my theory, of course, which I've written, and I'm advocating, calling for its implementation ASAP, at least throughout the collective North American civilization, But it is 11:35 a.m. here in the morning. Once again, please, if you make $1 million on the stock market today, buy, sell, trade stocks, futures, options, commodities, trade, buy, sell, or will make $1 million profit tomorrow, or have made $1 million profit on the stock market, buying, selling, short selling, XYZ on Wall Street, monkey business yesterday. Or that million profit that you possibly make or somebody makes on stock market, please give 10%. Please give 10% for that. 10% of $1 million is 100,000 divided by 4. 25,000 for food security, 25,000 for women's sports leagues, 25,000 for LGBTQ youth services, and 25,000 for, of course, environmental causes, to plant trees, or XYZ other services such as increasing in compost, better recycling. The DRT, the debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory is, of course, my theory which advocates for the implementation to take all public and private debt, my private debt. If I owe $10,000 to the Royal Bank of Canada, to the RBC, 10,000, of which, let's say that due to the interest rate hikes of the central bank, the highest since 1998. So in more than 22 years, just last month, the rate was hiked for 1 full percentage point. So I'm paying the most interest I've ever paid on my debt at this moment in time. I'm paying the most interest. The debt, the interest is the problem. That's parasitical. The interest is the problem. That can be parasitical. The interest that we pay, that can be parasitical if it's paid too much. My project, my protocol principle is that after we implement debt refusion theory, the DRT, we have a maximum of 10% interest charged on all loans, credit cards, student loans, debt loans, consumer loans, business loans, other loans, a maximum of 10% across all, probably even lower, 9, 8, 7.7, but maximum 10. That's my call. After we implement the debt refusion theory, to have that as a principle. It is 11:37 a.m. here in the morning. Grateful, thankful my rent is paid in full, the electricity bill is paid in full, because I'm calling for the implementation of the DRT, and we're gonna knock on some doors in the modern way. Gonna write to emails to BlackRock and financial institutions, and the Central Bank of Canada, the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve, we're going to write to the Federal Reserve and the Bank of Canada. Both the Federal Reserve and the Bank of Canada. And of course, maybe the European Central Bank, and of course other financial institutions. We're going to write to the World Economic Forum. We're going to write to the economic, financial, commercial institutions and organizations, both public and private, to the banks. I'm going to write to the banks, please write DRT, DRT, DRT is yours truly's Dragan's army and the Dancing Goddess army, because they're complementary, covenant, and cooperative that I'm calling for. These two new institutions. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, is of course taking all private and public debt. My private debt, if private debt is represented by X, and if I'm X1 and you're X2, and there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of X's across the collective North American civilization, taking all the private debt, such as my 10,000, if I'm X1, my debt plus your debt plus their debt, all that number is going to have to be converted into US dollars. So converted it into US dollars, converting it into US dollars, right? The DRT. So for example, all Canadian debt, so all private and public debt together. So the public debt would be the debt of Montreal as a municipality, Quebec, Canada, and the United States, for the collective North American civilization with Mexico, because first and foremost, of course, I am advocating the binational, and for that matter, North American beyond, but as a philosopher, geopolitical analyst, and independent athlete of Quebec, Canada, North America, as I am a North American, I say I'm a North American, I am a rainbow global dragon citizen. I believe we can break impasses and come to concording between the public and the private, and so we don't self-destruct ourselves as we are. Maybe World War III has begun, World War III has begun, as have of course sounded the alarm back in October that humanity, we are again on a path towards an international conflagration, that we are again on a path towards an international conflagration. So I created, made, and designed the workout to go hand in hand, and for the case of a needed mobilization of citizens, I have been and will continue to advocate for the mass financing thereof of people to adopt it. And I've knocked on some doors here. We're gonna get some answers on from the universities and from the sports leagues, and in according to my workout training program, which I've created, that is simple, effective, and efficient, and requires no equipment, and is of course officially titled the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army Workout. The General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army Workout. The General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army Workout, which requires no equipment and is simple, effective, and efficient. And what it does, it increases overall general fitness. It increases overall general fitness. My workout increases general overall fitness, and I've done more than 290 sessions, 298. Finished it yesterday. 2 more to go to get to 300, my original goal. 200 more to go to get to my original goal. Go Nova Scotians, go Labradorians, go Prince Edward Island Recovery, go workers, I see you, I'm with you, I'm cheering you on. Go, oh, another, while I blah 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 here, the stock market was rolling, buy, sell, trade stocks, futures, options, inputs, blah blah, monkey business, and I'm cheering in the mind, is my heart, and the workout dedicated this week to the recovery efforts, because I know all about recovery, recovery for me, and my healing has required action and is requiring action on the daily, constant, and analyzing my dimensions and my nature, which is sometimes X, Y, Z, sometimes stormy, get moody, get upset. I admit it, got X, Y, Z's, but how many, since 93 minutes since I started this video, 93 minutes since I started the video, how many trees were loaded? Thank you. Clear the roads, how many roads were cleared? X, Y, Z amount. Thank you, love you, all those hundreds of workers, relief workers, thank you, love you, kiss you. Big dragon hugs, marching in spirit with you out there, marching, I say, tapping on the back. Good job. That's what I need. Oh, okay, no problem. Just say, no, don't want to tap on the back, don't touch me, that's fine. You vaccinated, hygiene, wash your hands today, wash your hands today, wash your hands today. No problem, just say, no problem. I'm never gonna say no to hugs. Gonna hug me all day. Never gonna say no to food, to dancing, to good hugging. 93 minutes in, how many? That's a number. So the DRT, the debt refusion theory, is my theory and to implement, and I'm calling for all to support the DRT, debt refusion theory, taking all private and public debt. My private debt is $10,000, yours is XYZ, and all the public and the private refusing it, debt refusing theory, whatever the number is, all the public debt, so, and the private debt. So private debt would be represented by X, let's say. If I'm X1, my private debt as a private citizen is X1, and you're X2, and then it's tens, hundreds, and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of X's across, of course, Canada, coast to coast, and Montreal, and of course, throughout the collective North American civilization, and the public debt. And the public debt will be represented by Montreal by the letter Y. If private debt is represented by X, let's say if I'm X1 and you're X2, and then we add all the X's, and the public debt will be represented by Y1. Y1 would be Canada, Y2 would be United States, let's say Y3 Mexico, and beyond, of course, Germany, the EU, Israel, whoever, of course, all willing living people, citizens, and nations and states. And of course, taking first and foremost the collective North American civilization, because my policy is Dragan policy, Adrian Dragan's policy, and Dragan Zero's policy is one border, two oceans, one border, two oceans, one border, two oceans. That way is the Atlantic Ocean, the East Coast, Atlantic Maritime provinces, go, 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 recovery work. And that way is the West Coast, is the Pacific, West Coast, Pacific, East Coast, Atlantic. We got one border, two oceans. Secure with my projects, of course, public-private partnership, Dragan Zero, Dragan Army 4D, public-private partnership, NASA, of course, all public and private security forces, all public and private security forces, all public and private security forces, coast to coast, East Coast, West Coast, across NORAD with satellites, and of course social media, Facebook, Instagram, and of course television, radio, secure, coast to coast, border to border, NORAD, created Dragan Army story for securing food, housing, and transport for all that I'm calling for. Food, housing, and transport. All the highways, railways, railroads, highways, railroads, and the farmers, east, west, north, south, or the collective North American civilization, and all, even the private, of course, the food such as Tim Hortons, and of course all the corporations involved in the fast food production and distribution, farmers, love you, kiss you, hug you, securing food, housing, and transport for all citizens and allies, supporters, subjects thereof, and of course afterwards working on for these services. So debt refusion theory, taking all private and public debt, my private, if private debt is represented by X, all the X's, the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of X's across the collective North American civilization and beyond. I'm X1, my debt is 10,000 Canadian dollars to the RBC. And of course taking all the public debt, because the private is private citizens like myself, private debt represented by X, my X1 plus yours X2 plus all the hundreds, thousands, millions of X's, and the Y would be all Canadian public debt, the public debt of Canada, USA, Mexico, and beyond, Germany, EU, NATO, let's say NATO member countries, NATO member countries, and of course Israel, NATO, and of course create the UE. So taking all private and public debt, and we're gonna see, let's see, I'm gonna have to do some conversion forex conversion. The forex market is the biggest market, so since the US dollar is still the biggest market in the world, and of course I got a US dollar in my wallet. I had it for about 7 years now, a US dollar for my wallet, printed in 2009, and I could put that as a first credit, $1 US plus my $10,000 debt. So it will be $10,000 Canadian and $1 to finance the debt refusion theory, to implement the debt refusion theory. So taking all the private and the public debt, whatever the number is, my X 10,000, I know it, and yours whatever 12,000 and 3,000, and all the public debt of Canada, US, whatever it is, and of course add it up. But first, of course, we're gonna have to do a conversion. We're gonna have to do a currency conversion, what's called currency conversion. So the Canadian dollars, the debt of Canada, private and public, have to be converted to US dollars. Not the US dollars, obviously, because that's the number to US dollars. The Mexican pesos are gonna have to be converted to US dollars. Germany now does not use Deutsche Marks anymore. Germany now uses euros. Israel has Israeli new shekels. Israel has Israeli new shekels. All right. So it'll be collective North American civilization and NATO. We have NATO, and of course as I'm calling for the protocol project Genesis 33, project protocol Genesis 33, project protocol initiative Genesis 33, NATO Israel, of course alliance in this matters and beyond. So of course Central America, South America, and My brothers and sisters in Africa, my brothers and sisters in Africa, my brothers and sisters in Africa, the Middle East for that matter, for to accord a new peace, a resolution, and breaking the impasse. So taking all the private and the public debt, my 10,000, like I said, plus yours, plus XYZ, all the citizens across collective North American civilization. So let's do it for Canadian dollar, Canadian to US. So you have to be the conversion done to make it to US dollar. So 1 Canadian, it has dropped again. It seems to be dropping this. It dropped again 4 cents, 4 cents, 4 cents in value. So 1 Canadian dollar today, as of today, 3:48 p.m. in the afternoon UTC time. So as of today, now this morning, 1 Canadian dollar is the equivalent of 73 US cents. 1 Canadian dollar as of now is the equivalent of 73 US cents, and it always fluctuates. So 1 Canadian dollar as of today is the equivalent of 73 US cents today. And vice versa, if 1 Canadian dollar is the equivalent of 73 cents US, and 1 US dollar is the equivalent of $1.37 Canadian. Wow. So the US dollar has appreciated in value. It's called appreciation, appreciation, appreciation. So has appreciated while the Canadian dollar has devaluated versus the US dollar, because the US dollar is still officially the currency for world trade, international finance, and global commerce. Still for global commerce, international finance, and world trade is still the US dollar is still the world trade, international finance, and global commerce currency of choice. Still has been challenges in the past since 2007 from the yuan, and now paradoxically from the ruble. Has gone up. Paradoxically from the ruble, it has gone up as the euro has fallen in value to the, and the pound has fallen in value to the US dollar. And of course, the US dollar and the Canadian dollar and the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. So 1 US dollar today is the equivalent of $1.37 Canadian dollars. 1 US dollar is the equivalent of $1.37 Canadian. 1 US dollar today is the equivalent of $1.37 Canadian. 1 US dollar, 137.1. So it went up. It was 130 last week. It was 130, so it went up 7 cents. Well, that's a major move, because usually it fluctuates very slowly, but that seems to be an interesting flow here, an interesting dynamics here, and it seems to be a lot, as it was even 125 a few weeks ago. So like they lost 10 good percentage. Interesting, the US dollar. Well, appreciated versus the Canadian dollar. So 1 US dollar today is $1.37 Canadian. Now let's see from Mexico. Peso to US dollar. So the Mexican peso, 1 Mexican peso is the equivalent of 0.049. So almost 5 peso cents. 5 cents. Correction. 1 Mexican peso is almost 5 cents US. 1 Mexican peso is almost 5 cents US. It is 0.049, because I got that 9, right? It's 0.049. It goes like that. In terms of certain currencies, you can go to, after the point of the 0, it can go to 3 digits, right? 3 digits, and that's about it. Sometimes 4, but very rarely. Yes, depending on the currency, it can go. Such as the currencies that are like the Indonesian currency and other currencies which have 5,000 and 10,000 and even 50,000 or 100,000 of their currency, the bills, right? Like Zimbabwe has big numbers in their currencies, right? As we have units and cents, right? Dollars and cents. But depending on the currency, it can be so. I believe even the rubles, they got like 10 banknotes, the banknote in the tens of thousands, and others have the rupee. I think Indian rupee, right, has thousands and tens of thousands even. The currency of India. Let's see. Your rupee. 1 Canadian dollar equals 59 rupees and 0.77, so almost 60 rupees. So the rupee, they have like bigger currencies, or Indonesia also. Indonesian currency, let's see. Indonesian currency. So $1 Canadian, yes, I was right about the rupiah. What's called the rupiah. I remembered it was, but I wasn't sure. So $1 Canadian is the equivalent of 11,168.85. So more than 11,000 rupiahs. So the rupiah of Indonesia, they have a banknote of 100,000. In Indonesia, they have banknotes of 100,000. It looks kind of like our Canadian $100. So in Indonesia, they have the banknotes of 100,000 rupiahs. They have that currency in Indonesia. Wow. So it can be that it goes more zeros, more like that. But back to the Mexican peso, since we're talking about the collective North American civilization and my DRT, the debt fusion theory for the creation of the UE. For the creation of the UE stands for Universal Exchange Unit, and I'm calling private-public partnership all institutions and organizations to support this. The debt fusion theory, taking all private and public debt, and of course refusing it to create the UE, Universal Exchange Unit, preferably by biometrics. The hand, the voice, and the eye are unique biometric identifiers, and create the new currency, the UE, to be in parallel with other currencies, but pegged to the US dollar. So the UE would be the equivalent of what's the US dollar today, and then with that initial money, whatever it is, all the debt, Canadian debt, private and public, all the Mexican debt, private and public, and NATO, and even Israel and beyond, take all of it, all the number, and with that credit the initial money supply, the initial amount of UEs, and then if we need to augment as the sun shines and increases more light everywhere, east coast, north south, tens of tons of light shed, and new fruits, grains, and vegetables are being made and created at this point in time, and ideas and creativity and muscle and brains, and somebody's making love, kisses, and hugs, and cooking and baking, and everything that we do, civilization, construction, painting, cleaning, better aqueducts, more solar power, Elon Musk, Starlink, satellites. So the DRT implemented peso to US dollar. One Mexican peso is 0.049 US dollars, and that is 5 cents, almost 5 cents. A Mexican peso is the equivalent of almost 5 cents US. One Mexican peso is the equivalent of almost 5 cents US, and vice versa. If one Mexican peso is almost 5 cents US, one US dollar is the equivalent of, it went up again. Wow, it's going up. The US dollar is really appreciating these past days and weeks by a considerable margin. In my estimation, the US dollar is now 20 Mexican pesos and 32 cents, 20.32. So 2 weeks ago when I checked, when I was discussing the DRT, it was 20.00, and it was at 1.19.99, and then it got to 20, and now it's 20.32. So the value of the US dollar has and is appreciating, is appreciating against the Canadian dollar, against the Mexican peso, and against the. And so one US dollar is equivalent of 20.32 Mexican peso, and 2 weeks ago is exactly 20, and at one point was 19.99. So the value of the US dollar went up. You buy more Mexican peso with a US dollar than you used to buy 2 weeks ago, as in going up. The appreciation, what's called in currency, financial economics, what's called appreciation. So the dollar is appreciating. So what about the euro? Let's see euro, because it's not Deutsche Marks anymore. No more Deutsche Marks. The euro. Wow, the euro is plunging, is devaluating versus the US dollar, and has been on the constant devaluation. 2 weeks ago, when we checked during the DRT, and you can fact check, we have proof of work in our intellectual, physical, geopolitical work that we've been doing, and Euro Stuli has been putting in more work, intellectual, academic, philosophical, and even analytic than all the leaders of the free world combined during COVID, and now putting in more intellectual, philosophical, geopolitical analysis and work than all the leaders of the free world combined. I'm proud to say during this COVID I put in more work, intellectual, physical, geopolitical, and analysis, and reading and speculating than all the leaders of the free world combined during COVID. I'm proud to say, as Adrian H. Dragan died. I'm being reborn, Adrian Hunter Dragan, during this COVID. Triple vaccinated, please get vaxxed. Hygiene in public, please. When you step outside, we got added responsibilities and duties and obligation. And yours truly, Adrian Hunter Dragan, in the underground room, office, and temple. This underground room, office, and temple. Underground room, office, and temple. And of course, what also said that I marched in steel-toe boots more than all the generals of NATO combined during COVID. I marched in steel-toe boots more than all the generals of NATO combined during COVID. I also marched in steel-toe boots for world peace and for my theories. And for LOVE, for love, love, love. And I want to love and want to be loved and want to love and want to love and want to y'all to love and want to see people making love and exercising, working out, training, and be less selfish. I am not totally selfless. I have try to be balanced, self and the other and the greater good, and eat some good bacon and have a good piece of cake and a good liquor as well. I do admit it. But I've marched more than the generals of NATO combined in steel-toe boots during COVID, I'm proud to say, and put in more intellectual, physical, artistic, spiritual, and philosophical work than all the leaders of the free world combined during COVID, and that's my new CV. Artistic as an athlete, activist, and of course, artist and philosopher and geopolitical analyst and theorist. And €1 is the equivalent of 0.97 US cents, and it was 1 for 1 2 weeks ago. So the value of the euro went down against the US dollar again. So €1 today is 0.97 cents US. It used to be 2 weeks ago, it was 1 for 1. It lost 3% value exactly in 2 weeks because it's 100 cents, $1, $1, and €1. They have a euro cents, it's 100 euro cents for every euro, and cents. So the conversion to be done, and then we do the other conversion. We're gonna do the reverse. €1 and $1 is the equivalent of €1 and 3 cents euro. €1 and 3 cents euro. $1 is the equivalent one. So we went up by 3% in just 2 weeks. That's a considerable amount. I mean, if you take a million, 100 million, and a billion, that's 3% in 2 weeks. That's a big change in the euro. So the euro is plunging. The euro is going down. The euro is going down. The euro is going down. So now we're gonna say one last. One is gonna be the Israeli one new Israeli shekel. One new Israeli shekel. It's 28 US cents. So one new Israeli shekels, in Israel they have shekels. New Israeli shekels is 28 cents US. 28 cents one new Israeli shekel, and vice versa. $1 since that is going up again because it was 347 2 weeks ago, I believe. 347 2 weeks ago. Gotta check the videos. So now today, 3:58 p.m., 12 p.m. exactly this afternoon. It's no longer morning. Go recovery work, go. $1 is the equivalent to 3.52 new Israeli shekels. $1 is the equivalent of 3.5 new Israeli shekel. $1 is the equivalent of 3.5 new Israeli shekels. So DRT, debt refusion theory, to be implemented to create the UE pegged to the US dollar and create a new transnational, global, international financial institution to issue the UE, and whatever the number is of all the private and the public debt converted into US dollar, that number credit the initial money supply of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, by biometrics, the hand and the voice, and the IR unique biometric identifiers, and of course create a new institution, the Dragan Army, the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragan Army, to be complementary with the International Integrated Dance League, the Dancing Goddess Army used to the Eternal Dragon. DRT, debt refusion theory. This afternoon we're gonna have lunch and we're gonna write some emails, knocking on some doors, and I'm gonna do one last thing. I'm gonna read the email that I'm writing. I'm going to write to BlackRock, to other financial institutions and organizations. This is it. This is what I'm going to write them, knocking at their doors in the writing emails. First, receive my wishes for health. It's going to be the full video on YouTube, but no longer going down my levels of the from Facebook live stream, but it's going to be continued on. I'm going to continue it on, it's going to be the full video on YouTube. First, receive my wishes for health. Second, I'm knocking at your door in the modern way by sending you this email in order to invite you to a public and private citizen cooperation, collaboration, partnership, and alliance thereof. Third, I'm an independent LGBTQ financial analyst and theorist, philosopher, athlete, activist, artist, geopolitical analyst and theorist, psychological analyst and theorist, and world peace advocate. I have a specific economic, financial, commercial theory in parallel to social, political, and philosophical theories that I'm willing and loving to discuss their implementation and application with you. I have ideas and proposals, blah blah. Economic to work together on the aforementioned implementation of my theory known as the DRT in parallel to the CIT and the DFT. And I'm going to post this what I wrote to BlackRock, finish in after. We gotta wrap it up with this because we're gonna pause this and I'm gonna need to plug it because I put this on live stream Facebook. Alrighty, so now we're gonna get the third and final cup of coffee, and we're gonna continue to write the emails. Writing. So this is the letter which I'm gonna go knocking at the doors. Starting knocking at the doors, and we're gonna start knocking. Start knocking at the doors of Black Rock, Black Rock, Black Rock. Contact us, Black Cock, Black Cock, Black Cock. Montreal, Montreal, Montreal. Phone numbers but no emails. Phone numbers but no emails. Well, there's a media. I guess I'm gonna email to the media team. Group Corp Comsons blackrock.com. Public, private, financial, private, public, partnership. Financial, private, public partnership. That's the main message. Financial, public, private partnership. Esteemed reader, first receive my wishes for health. Second, I'm knocking at your door in the modern way by sending you this email in order to invite you to a public and private citizen cooperation, collaboration, partnership, and alliance thereof. Third, I'm an independent LGBTQ financial analyst and theorist, philosopher, athlete, artist, activist, geopolitical analyst and theorist, psychological analyst and theorist, and world peace advocate. Have a specific economic, financial, and commercial theory in parallel to social, political, and philosophical theories that I'm willingly loving to discuss their implementation and application with you. Have many ideas and proposals in order for us to work together on the aforementioned implementation of my theory known as the DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, in parallel to the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory. Thanks for your time. Send. And we're gonna have to print because the for Montreal there's no email for the Montreal, so you're gonna send it to the other BlackRock Media Corporation. And financial, public, private partnership. Financial, public, private partnership. financial private-public partnership. Send. I'm going to contact Bank of Canada. Central Bank of Canada, that is. About us. Till the Great Depression of the 1930s, there appeared to be little need for a central bank in Canada, which was sparsely settled and mainly rural at the time. British influence was reflected in the preference for a limited number of banks with multiple branches. In a relatively undeveloped economy, branch banks could be established with less capital and fewer skilled officers than would have required for independent banks at each location. South of the border, a different philosophy encouraged the development of independent local banks as a larger population clustered in established communities made it workable. Canada's branch bank network was sufficient for the nation's need for almost a century. Interesting. Canada's branch bank network was sufficient for the nation's needs for almost a century. Canada's branch bank network was sufficient for the nation's needs for almost a century. Charter banks provided the bulk of the notes in circulation and could meet seasonal or unexpected demands. Changing environments. The Great Depression, fueled by drought conditions and a worldwide economic slump, contributed to a change in government and unprecedented public criticism of Canada's banking system. It also coincided with British Prime Minister R.B. Bennett concerned that Canada lacked a direct means for settling international accounts. In 1933, he set up a royal commission to study the organization and working of our entire banking monetary system and could consider the arguments for or against a central banking institution. The arguments for one, the Royal Commission, headed by Lord Macmahon, recommended in his report the establishment of a central bank. A week after the report was made public, the Prime Minister announced that his government would adopt their recommendations. An appendix to the report suggestion also main feature the constitution of the banks and the bank and the framework for the Bank of Canada Act, which received royal assent on 3rd of July 1934. The Bank of Canada Act, which received royal assent on July 3rd, 1934. The Bank of Canada Act, which received royal assent on 3rd of July 1934. In March 1935, the Bank of Canada opened its doors. March 1935, the Bank of Canada opened its doors as a privately owned institution which shares sold to the public. In March 1935, the Bank of Canada opened its doors as a privately owned institution which shares sold to the public. In March 1935, the Bank of Canada opened its doors as a privately owned institution which shares sold to the public. Here to stay. First governor of the Bank of Canada was Graham F. Towers, a 37-year-old Canadian who had extensive experience with the Royal Bank of Canada. First governor of the Bank of Canada was Graham F. Towers, 37-year-old Canadian. First governor of the Bank of Canada was Graham F. Towers, 37-year-old Canadian. Contact us. So we're going to contact the Bank of Canada. Head office. Contact us. General inquiries. Contact us by email, knocking at the door in a modern way. No, I'm not a robot. Comments or questions?
Province, Quebec. Dragan, Adrian H. Organization, Global Dragon Union. Submit, I'm not a robot. Oh, the topic. It's gonna have to be just monetary policy. But my DRT falls into monetary policy and beyond, right? Submit. Thank you for taking the time to submit your inquiry. We will do our best to respond within 5 business days. Also to the exchange rates. So we're gonna send another email on another topic, exchange rates. No, I'm not a robot. Submit. Thank you for taking the time. Organization. Phoenix People's Party. And this topic is gonna be research and publications. This is my proposal, DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the US. Research and publications, that's my advocacy, the DRT and the UE. Submit. From the Bank of Canada, we're gonna go to the Bank of Canada inquiry form received to the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve. About the Fed. The Federal Reserve System is the central bank of the United States. The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States. The Federal Reserve System is the central bank of the United States. It performs 5 general functions to promote the effective operation of the U.S. economy and more generally the public interest. The Federal Reserve 1. Conducts the nation's monetary policy to promote maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates in the U.S. economy. Promotes the stability of the financial system and seeks to minimize and contain systemic risk through active monitoring and engagement in the U.S. and abroad. Promotes the safety and soundness of individual financial institutions and monitors their impact on the financial system as a whole. Fosters payment and settlement system safety and efficiency through services to the banking industry and the U.S. government that facilitates U.S. dollar transactions and payments. and promotes consumer protection and community development through consumer-focused supervision and examination, research, and analysis of emerging consumer issues and trends, community economic development activities, and the administration of consumer laws and regulations. Jerome H. Powell, Chairman, Jerome H. Powell, Chairman, Philip N. Jefferson, Lisa D. Cook, Lisa D. is board members, but individual board members, we're going to contact, oh, there it is, contact us, contact us. Main telephone, email, Twitter, Facebook, all you gotta know, even YouTube. Go by email, knocking at the door, in a modern way. And knocking at the door with a contact. Email. Private post policy, use the email. First of email notification service for subscribers. Subscribe to the service on the your subscribe, modify your password. No, that's not it. Inquiries, seeing for the inquiries, consumer inquiries on conferences, CA letters, small business entrepreneurship, data economic research, advanced contact. Let's try again. Contact us. Yes, email. Oh, we got something. General inquiry or other first name information. Oh, there it is. Engineering profession, dependent, financial, theorist. Address, Global Dragan Unit, address line. Park Row, Montreal Estate. That'll have to be Canada. This is Armed Forces Canada. Armed Forces America. Gotta be the country. City, state, country, Canada. I put the country Canada, so the states. H.H and the same email. Esteemed reader, first receive my wishes for health. Second, I'm knocking at your door in a modern way by sending you this email in order to invite you to a public and private citizen cooperation, collaboration, partnership, and alliance thereof. Third, I'm an independent LGBT financial analyst and theorist, philosopher, athlete. This general geopolitical analyst and theorist, philosophical, psychological analyst and theorist, and world peace advocate. Have a specific economic, financial, commercial theory in parallel to social, political, and philosophical theories that I'm willing living to discuss their implementation application with you. Have many ideas and proposals in order for us to work together on the aforementioned my theory known as the DRT, Debt Fusion Theory, in parallel to the CAT and DFT. Submit. Feedback has been sent regarding general inquiry, but it's not only a general inquiry, it's of course for the board members. So general inquiry, now we're gonna send to the, put it at other. Public, financial, public, private, cooperation. I put it in under professional independent financial theorist. Independent independent financial theorist. Organization, that's goddess. Dragan. Kingdom. Canada. Submit. Chava. Submit. Contact us. Contact us, and it's gonna be now for the board members. So we put general, inquiry, other, and board members now. Official, independent, financial. Independent financial theorist. Finish. Party. Phoenix People's Party. Submit. Thank you for contacting the Federal Reserve. Your email has been well received. So we went from the private, from BlackRock, to the public. I'm calling for the public and the private. BlackRock, Bank of Canada, Federal Reserve, and now we're going to go to the Canadian financial institutions. And I know of one in specific. It's going to be the Fraser Institute. Fraser Institute. About us. What would I news? Middle income Atlantic Canadians face much higher personal income tax burden than Western Canadians with similar incomes. Our mission. Welcome to the Fraser Institute. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for Canadians, their families, and future generations by studying, measuring, and broadly communicating the effects of government policies, entrepreneurship, and choice on their well-being. Headquartered in Vancouver, Canada. Fraser Institute. The Fraser Institute is the top think tank in Canada. The Fraser Institute is the top think tank in Canada. Fraser Institute is the top think tank in Canada. I'm just gonna write which ones I've contacted. So contacted BlackRock. contacted Bank of Canada, Federal Reserve System, contacted BlackRock, Bank of Canada, Federal Reserve System, and now we're going to contact Fraser Institute. Contact us. Vancouver office, Halifax, map support, Fraser Institute. Contact media inquiries. Well, I'm going to go for general information. Let's go for general information. First and foremost, subject is financial, public, private cooperation. Financial, public, private cooperation. Sent. And esteemed reader, first receive my wishes for health, right? Second, I'm knocking at your door in the modern way by sending you this email in order to invite you to a public and private citizen cooperation, collaboration, partnership, and alliance thereof. Third, I'm an independent LGBTQ financial analyst and theorist, philosopher, athlete, artist, activist, geopolitical analyst and theorist, psychological analyst and theorist, and world peace advocate. Have a specific economic, financial, commercial theory in parallel to social, political, and philosophical theories that I'm willing to discuss their implementation and application with you. Have many ideas and proposals in order for us to work together on the aforementioned implementation of my theory known as the DRT, Debt to Fusion Theory, of course in parallel to the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, and Debt Democratic Fusion Theory. Send. So that was for the Fraser Institute. Order of publication, no publication, permission, website, inquiries, media inquiry, media, I guess, not really media, but yes, I want it to be mediatized, all mediatized, our experts, our team, maybe, let's go see if we can contact directly. Executive Vice President, contact us. Let's go to contact us again. Education programs and inquiries, media inquiries. Contact us. It's contact from the Fraser Institute, Durham Personal Relations. Big private. Send. Support the Fraser Institute. Well, in a way, if we can mutually support each other, if you support the implementation and the application of my theories and my philosophies, maybe so. Let's see, support the Fraser Institute, I guess. We could mutually support. If you support me, I support you in XYZ, 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 and financial, public private partnership. The Fraser Institute, we have contacted the Fraser Institute. We have contacted the Fraser Institute. I'm going to mark it down so we don't knock too many times on the same door. And I really need to pee. Public-private partnership need to pee. So I'm gonna run to pee. Let's see how long it takes me to come back. If it takes me 2:30, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Need to pee break. Pee. Public-private partnership. Literally.
3 minutes 33 seconds, 3 minutes 33 seconds, 3 minutes 33 seconds. What was it? 3 minutes 33 seconds, something like that. To also not just PPP, public private partnership, but literally P. Blow my nose and wash my hands, wash my hands, wash my hands. Please wash your hands with soap and water, and hand sanitizer when you step outside in the public. Increasing public hygiene. 12:43 p.m. I got 25 minutes to go on this 3-hour long maritime. Go Nova Scotia, go Maritimes, go Maritimes, Labrador, Newfoundland, go Prince Edward Island, go Atlantic Canada, go Atlantic Canada, go Atlantic Canada. Go recovery work, go recovery work, go recovery work. Dragan with you, we're gonna contact some more institutions. Canada, Canadian think tanks. Or we contacted Fraser Institute, which is a Canadian institute, Canadian public policy think tank and registered charity. So the Fraser Institute is a Canadian public policy think tank and registered charity. The Fraser Institute is a Canadian public policy think tank and registered charity. And CFR, we're going to contact Council on Foreign Relations. The CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, is an American think tank specializing in U.S. foreign policy and international relations. I'm all about it. It's Canadian, North American was passed in the past life, international relations, CFR. And I've been subscribed for more than 7 years to their email. Council on Foreign Relations. Yes, Council on Foreign Relations. Council on Foreign Relations, American think tank, founded in 1921. Founding in 1921, before the Great Depression. It's officially 100 years. If what y'all did for the centennial, what y'all did for the centennial, what y'all did centennial, you should have had me rapping, dancing, philosophizing. That would have been best. Having yours truly, Dragan, rapping, philosophizing. You can still do it. Let's say centennial is redone, Dragan, because y'all skipped it during COVID. Y'all skipped it during COVID. CFR. Council on Foreign Relations, about Council on Foreign Relations. Let's see if they have what they're about. Topics, foreign affairs. Think tank. Let's see where the contact is. Contact. The Council on Foreign Relations, founded in 1921, an American think tank on foreign policy and international relations. ER, contact us. Headquartered in New York City. Council on Foreign Relations headquarters in New York City. Council on Foreign Relations headquartered in New York City, but Washington, D.C. Yes, address. However, email. There's the email. Communication department contacts. So I'm knocking at the door in the morning way and only have one stamp left. Only have one stamp left for international North America stamp with one or even two Canadian. So as being on the budget is need to get stamps to send you emails, otherwise I would. Email there is communication CFR. Subject public financial public private partnership. Send. Global Communications and Media Relations.
communications, corporate affairs, philanthropy, and corporate relations. Suzanne E. Helm offer you some philosophy, some kisses, because kisses got plenty. So you might say no to my offers of any philosophy or brains and muscle or kisses or hugs or dancing or working out, training, exercising, everything that I do got as a philosopher, financial analyst, and theorist, of which this is focused on the DRT. So corporate CFR. CFR. Financial public private partnership. The subject areas, and of course I'm sending the same email, the same format, knocking at the door with the invitation. Esteemed reader, first receive my wishes for health. Second, I'm knocking at your door in a modern way by sending you this email in order to invite you to a public and private citizen cooperation, collaboration, partnership, and alliance thereof. Send. Send. Meetings. Have a meeting, I guess it could be descriptive. Meetings. It's a meeting, live stream meeting between yours truly and either Dragan and CFR. Financial public private partnership. External affairs, I guess, could be considered as well because it incorporates a multiplicity, so we're also going to send to external affairs. Same subject. Financial public private cooperation. See, from Washington. Fellowship affairs, I guess. development. Financial public-private partnership. See, before I gotta say, you have a lot of different departments, even publications, because I want my theory to be published. I do want my theory to be published. I do want my theory to be published, and basically to be published as I want my children's books to be. Financial private-public cooperation. Human resources and administration, yes. Financial public-private partnership. And that would be it for CFR, Council on Foreign Relations. Lots of departments. I think I sent, what, 7 emails, seven emails, something like that. 7 knocks at 7 different doors. Human Resources, thank you for contacting the Council on Foreign Relations. CFR, Council on Foreign Relations. CFR. Canadian think tanks. Canadian Global Affairs, the Cato Institute. Canadian think tank. Canadian think tanks. About Canadian International Council. The Canadian International Council is a Canadian think tank on foreign relations. It is an independent member-based council established to strengthen Canada's roles in international affairs. The Canadian International Council. The Canadian International Council is a Canadian think tank on foreign relations. The Canadian International Council, Canadian think tank on foreign relations. Contact information. Contact information, yes. About. Let's see what they're saying, what they're about. The Canadian International Council, CIC, is a platform for citizens to engage in discussions on international issues. Our mission as an independent, nonpartisan, and charitable membership organization is to involve Canadians in finding our country's place in the world. About what makes the CIC, Canadian International Council, unique is a network of 19 branches across 7 provinces and 1 territory. Y'all spread out, y'all doing good. Y'all doing good. Canadian International Council, contact us. Contact information. Email info.cic. Info.cic.org. So let's write it a new message. Info.cic. Info. How does it say? At the cic.org. The subject: financial, public, private. Cooperation, partnership. Financial, public, private, partnership. Steam reader, first receive my wishes for health. Second, I'm knocking at your door in a modern way by sending you this email in order to invite you to a public and private citizen cooperation, collaboration, partnership, and alliance thereof. Third, I'm an independent LGBTQ financial analyst and theorist, philosopher, athlete, artist, activist, and geopolitical analyst and theorist, psychological analyst and theorist, and world peace advocate. Have a specific economic, financial, and commercial theory in parallel to social, political, and philosophical theories that I'm willingly living to discuss their implementation applications with you. Have many ideas and proposals in order for us to work together on the aforementioned implementation of my theory known as the DRT in parallel to the CIT and DFT. Thanks for your time. Adrian H. Dragon being reborn during COVID as Adrian Hanna Dragan, independent LGBTQ, economic, financial, and commercial theorist, artist, activist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical analyst, and theorist, world peace advocate. Send to the CIC, Canadian International Council. Or as a media inquiry. It's not really a media, although I'm gonna contact them as well, because I want it to be mediatized, my theories, my philosophies, my art, my workouts. I want it to be mediatized and applied and implemented, and of course public, private, partnership. Financial, public, private, partnership. Or there's also emails, so I'm going to send emails also to them. Chris, we're an operations manager, yes. Thanks, oh yes. Maybe more knocking on some more doors. Here's the Canadian International Council. The Canadian International Council. The Canadian International. Christina, yes. The CIC. .org. I have to be careful because sometimes just a little dot can not send it. So private partnership. So Steam reader, first receive my wishes for health. Second, knocking at the door in a modern way. Email not invite. Program manager, renewing our democratic alliance. Interesting. The project manager. I wonder what that is about. I'm really curious. Samantha, assistant program manager, renewing our democratic alliance. I guess that could go in parallel with my democratic fusion theory. My democratic fusion theory that can go hand in hand with my democratic fusion theory. So we're gonna knock at your door as well. At the thecic.org. Financial public-private cooperation. And I'm going to inquire PS. I'm curious about your program known as Renewing Our Democratic Alliance. Renewing our Democratic Alliance. So of course my democratic fusion theory, but created two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions for the 21st century, the Dragan Army, officially the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, in parallel with the International Integrated Dancing, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, is what I'm advocating, calling for from the implementation of the DRT, Death Row Fusion Theory, to create the UE. Researcher and managing editor of International Journal. I'm going to contact you as well. dhec.org is the same. Yeah, cic.org. Financial public-private cooperation. This is a Goldman. Editor as well. Editor as well. The CIC.org. THECIC.org. Public private. Public-private partnership. Steam reader, knock 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 at your door as well. So Canadian International Council. Canadian Global Affairs Institute. Canadian Global Affairs Institute is an independent, non-partisan research institute based in Calgary. Canadian Global Affairs Institute. Future of Canadian Deterrence. About us, making sense of our complex world. Making sense of our complex world. Making sense of our complex world. About us. Board of Directors. Board of Directors. Directors.